Hey, welcome back everyone to the Black Brain Trust. Here, my co-facilitator, Lionel.
Hello, everyone. How you doing today? How you doing today, Mike? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. Yourself?
I am well. Thanks for asking.
All right. Tonight is economics, episode 112. And if you want to follow along, the docket is in the description beneath the video, and we will get started right now. Share my screen. All right. This one is from CNN.com. Staff at a bank in Ohio called police on a black man trying to cash his paycheck. Talk about Finance Fridays. An African American man who couldn't cash his paycheck at a Huntington bank in Brooklyn, Ohio, says that staff was judging him. Paul McCrowns, 30, told CNN affiliate WOIO he recently got a new job and was trying to cash his first paycheck earlier this month, but the tellers wouldn't cash the check, which just which was just over $1,000. Although McGowan's didn't specify he was being racially profiled, social media has picked up the hashtag banking while black upon hearing about the incident. The hashtag is very similar to those seen in the past, such as barbecuing while black, babysitting while black, and camping campaigning while black, which were coined after a white person called the police on black people while they were seen doing day-to-day activities. As he was leaving the bank empty-handed, McGowan's was met by Brooklyn police, handcuffed and placed in the back of a cruiser. When McGowan's asked what was happening, the officer said the bank teller had called 911. I have a customer here. Quote, he's not our customer actually. He's just trying to cash a check and the check is fraudulent. It doesn't match our records, a bank employee says on the recording of 911 call obtained by CNN. McGowan's doesn't bank with Huntington, and its staff was not able to reach his employer at first. But he followed bank protocol and provided the tellers with two forms of identification and a fingerprint. The bank still declined to cash his check. Quote, it was highly embarrassing, highly embarrassing, McGowan's told WOIO. The person who made that phone call, that manager, that teller, whoever made that phone call, I feel as though they were judging. The Brooklyn Police Department said in a statement that McGowan's was released once officers reached his employer and confirmed with the account holder the check was valid. Quote, we were called to the bank on a report of a fraudulent check. We were given description of this individual. When we arrived, the male was leaving his vehicle. He was not arrested, but he was detained until officers could figure out what was going on. Brooklyn Police Chief Scott uh, Mikey said in a statement by CNN. So this is interesting. Maybe this is a sign that black people need to have their own fintech bank. Fintech, for those listening, fintech means financial technology. So basically, banking in the cloud for the most part. What do you think about this, Lionel?
It was a few things that in the article made me say, didn't flow. First, he gave them two forms of ID, some picture ID and fingerprints, and they still said that they still called the police and said this is a fraudulent check and it doesn't match our records. They didn't call his not supplier, but
Employer.
employer while he was at the bank. They waited to do that after he was already locked up in the cruiser. On top of that, they said that well, we've been having problems with people trying to cash fraudulent checks in the past, but the people that posted the this article that published the article did not in the article they didn't say that they did any research on that statement. So I'm guessing the bank wanted to make an excuse of someone, and he obviously, who would question them making an excuse of him. Also, I mean, congratulations on the black man for having a job. Um, you need to get a bank account at another establishment, not get locked up at that Huntington branch, and after everything's said and done, go to another Huntington branch and cash your check. He at the end, after everything was said and done, after the police let him go, he went to another Huntington branch and cashed his check. So
Mhm.
if
I agree with you that you probably shouldn't do that, right? You probably should get your own bank account and stuff like that. But I think the problem with black people, especially black men, is that they're not able to maintain a balance as an adult.
mm,
Maybe because IRS may be on you, they've confiscated your account, or you may be in arrears somewhere with child support. Um, there's all types of variables that as to why you can't maintain a balance in the bank or something to that effect. I mean, most people who can't keep a traditional bank account usually goes like a credit union, right? Keep their money in there or something like that. But I think this is a call for black people to start, to create their own fintech and start embracing cryptos. Imagine I pull out my phone and there's a QR code on the paycheck, and I just, kind of put that into like my Coinbase or something like that.
mm,
That's sort of thinking that needs to be taking place. But I feel bad for this brother.
yeah. What's going on, Prim? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Pring?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? What's going on, man? Yeah, funny thing is, irony is, I remember one time I had a check cashing issue at a bank. It's a true story. Swear to God, hand to God. And I actually called the cops on the bank. And it was Wachovia. Client had written me a check. Well, I don't know, I had a check or whatever. Went to the cashier. Didn't have an account, get a lady two forms of ID. And it was just taking her forever. And I was running late for JITS practice. And I was like, okay, lady, let me get the check back in my ID. I gotta go. And she was like, sir, we'll be right back with you. I was just, I was chilling. Another 30 seconds. I'm like, ma'am, don't even worry about cashing. I'll take it to my bank, whatever. Just get my ID and give me the check back. She was like, sir, just wait, we'll be right with you. Then I was like, hold on, that's my property. You can't hold on to it. I need to get it back. And she was like, you know what they always do, when brothers get a little, when you get affirmed, she was like, sir, no need to get loud. We'll be right with you. Just be patient. I was like, look, are you telling me you're not going to give back my ID? I want my ID back. That's my property.
Hmm.
Long story short, she said no. Well, she didn't say no. She didn't comply. So I stepped outside and I called the cops. And I was like, listen, I'm over here at Wachovia on blank blank Boulevard. And, and I was the only brother in there because I live out in the sticks. You know what I'm saying? So I'm the only brother, number of white folks in there 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Cops came. I looked like I was like the president getting escorted. Walked back in the bank with the two cops
Hmm.
and pointed her out. And she had to walk around the counter, and eat crow as all the clients and all her colleagues looked at him while she handed me back my ID. So I didn't play the black card. I played the American card because, she couldn't do that. I knew my rights.
It's, while you was talking, something else popped up on my mind. He don't have a bank account because, or else he would have direct deposit. So he must don't have a bank account. That's why he was probably cashing his check because it came from his job. So he don't have a bank account. He's 30 years old. And the article says he's 30 years old.
Hmm.
No bank account. That's not a good look in terms of being an adult.
There's, but what I was saying before was that there's a variety of reasons, many variables as to why you wouldn't have one, and that's why you have a lot of checks, cash, Western Unions inside, predominantly black neighborhoods, right? Because
Mhm.
people can't maintain a bank account for whatever reason. Usually, the bare minimum balance in most of these banks can be something like $500. At least at the bank I bank at, you have to maintain a balance of like 250 to $500 a month. Um, even a money market account. you have to maintain a balance of over $1,000. Um,
$1,000 before you
yeah,
can earn interest.
not just earn interest, but just to keep the account open. They don't want the account open if it's not going to have any the bare minimum in it. So um, they
But some
people run into these variables. Go ahead, Point.
But sometimes, I mean, some banks they'll let you open up the account if you don't maintain the minimum balance. They'll just charge you like $5 or $10 a month or whatever. But to waive those charges, you just you carry a minimum balance, or you do direct deposit, or you do X amount of ATM, not ATM, but debit card transactions per month. You
Hmm.
know, and I mean, and if the employer wrote the check on the local bank, I mean, maybe he didn't have. Maybe he was just like, well, let me just walk in there and just go ahead and just cash it. You know, for whatever reason.
Hmm.
You know, of course, it's always best to have an account for transactions, but there are a lot of people out here who don't care to have a bank account, who don't want to have a bank account, and
Yeah.
some of them are even willing to pay the $8-10 check cashing fee, rather than have a bank account.
Right, 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 right.
Now, how they function, how they make things happen, without a Visa debit, or ACH or routing number, I don't know, but somehow, some ways they make it work.
And it is, and I think for people like us, on these hangouts, I think it's incumbent upon us to really figure out an alternative way, for banking for Black people because the traditional banking system really doesn't work. Um, it's obvious by the amount of checks cash, Western Unions, and these liquor stores who are trying to, oh, you can cash a check here, and next thing you know, you don't get any money out of it, or they charge you an exuberant fee for it. Um, there has to be a better way. I think your Android phones coming with these blockchain capabilities and encryption and banking capabilities. I think there's a whole lot that we can actually learn from that.
Hmm.
All right, let's move on to the next article.
Hey, Mike, when you share your screen, you want me to just read the article?
Say that again.
When you share your screen, you want me to just read the article?
No, that's all right. That's all right.
All right, cool, cool.
All right, this next one is from CNN.com. Alan Greenspan, investors should prepare for the worst. All right, so Alan Greenspan says that parties over on Wall Street, the former Federal Reserve chairman who famously warned more than 2 decades ago about irrational exuberance in the stock market, doesn't see the equity prices going any higher than they are now. Quote, it would be very surprising to see it sort of stabilize here and then take off, Greenspan said in an interview with CNN anchor Julia Chatterley. He added that markets could still go up further, but warned investors that the correction would be painful at the end of the sun, at the end of the run for cover. Basically, what's happening right now, we've read a few articles over the last few weeks where different people who either work for the Fed or work for this the, economic economists basically have said, something big is going to happen very soon. Now, Dollar Will has, looked at the charts, did his technical analysis, and he said, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing what Dollar Will has been saying, is that something's going to happen in the next, fourth quarter, first quarter of 2019. So, what we're seeing now is everybody's biting their nails. At least these guys are, maybe because they their investments are going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and what we've learned so far is when money leaves one area, it goes somewhere else. So, say, well, people who are at the top or people that are in the know are not exactly saying, "Hey, this thing about to pop in the next 13 days," but they're saying, "Hey, prepare for the worst," and relaying, they're talking to the people that are investors, these big money investors, so they can have time to take their money out of the sector that are, and this is just my opinion, sector that is that's bubble is going to be popped and put it in somewhere else. That's my opinion on it. Because what we've come to find out is people really don't a read these articles, and b when they see the headlines, the only thing they want to say, well, that's because of Trump. If he was, they want to blame people instead of saying, okay, I see what you're trying to say. Let me prepare myself.
Hmm.
Any comments, Preem?
No, no, like they say, if you live long enough, you'll see everything twice. So,
Yeah,
let it come if it will. Let it come if it will. I know we did relatively good, pretty good actually during the last turn down. The last recession business wise, because prior to it, we kind of focused all our marketing on, the higher end, you know, and so those folks, when things go bad, yeah, they cut back, but cutting back for them is probably like spending, 2 weeks in Europe or something, but they're still going to drop, a couple hundred, a couple grand on things having to do with their home versus, the average American, he's going to cut back, he's going to get really, really tight with his. So, um, it's all, like you said, it's all about position. The money moves, but I guess it has to do with the stocks or whatever. But, just everybody, hopefully everybody is positioned properly. If something does happen, that, you don't get too big of a wallop upside your head.
All right. Move on to the next article or the next video. This next video is from RT. Venezuela goes crypto as hyperinflation bites. Venezuela, which is reeling under crippling hyperinflation, has pegged its hopes on of recovery on its own cryptocurrency, the petro. Media are reporting that pensions are now to be converted into national cryptocurrency. It's gonna be interesting. Um, I know you have anything you want to add to this? Preem, you have anything you want to add to this?
This is the thing about Venezuela going crypto.
Yes.
Not particularly on, you know, not on this. Something else dropped this week, and hopefully it will will become a topic later on to where
Mhm.
the president of Brazil, he might be sharpening his sword to kind of move in because the destabilization of the region that's going on, and if that's possible, what impact that could happen, and what other larger companies, be it China or Russian, might get involved if there's a regional conflict. With Brazil going after because he said straight up, as far as going after Venezuela, and Cuba, you know, um, economically, but that doesn't mean he's not going to use the military. But as far as Venezuela, the whole crypto thing, and crypto is not my thing. I have very very limited understanding of it, but I just don't see how they're going to make it work if the economy is already in the shitter, and crypto even in and of itself here is a speculative thing. But I think you kind of broke it down before and said that they're gonna back it up um, with some of their natural resources or their commodities or something. Again, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm back. I had to mute up. I saw the video. Uh, the reporter made a few good points. Of course, Venezuela is going through a hyperinflation. President Maduro is going this petro, the cryptocurrency way. He's backing it up with natural resource. In terms of the country using crypto, she quickly interviewed a few people, which said that um, they personally don't use it, but they know of people who do. Um, she went to a few restaurants, Subway. What was the other one? Papa John's. You saw the stickers that says step dash there. But what they're doing is they're using smartphones to accept it. So they're not using standalone point of sale devices. There's a few cryptocurrencies out there that have point of sale devices, such as Pundi X, but they're going the phone route to accept payment in Dash for food or any other thing. One point that she made was you have to have money to Dash. You just don't get Dash for people who is listening is a cryptocurrency. It's a privacy crypto, but you just don't get Dash out of thin air. You need fiat money to get Dash, and when your currency is going through hyperinflation, it's hard to do that. But then she pointed out how the Venezuelans who flee the country and went somewhere else, they can send money back to people that are in the country or stay behind. So that's one way for these people to get Dash. But just because I understand their economy is down, it's going through hyperinflation, and all these things that are going on. Other than that, and effects of that, just because of that, doesn't mean you should not try other ways of sustaining yourself. Gain friction now, but you do it now, and as your country becomes more stabilized, and you'll still have that form of payment transfer or in the purchase things. So now it's maybe not as people want it to be, but I wouldn't stop.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, well, Venezuela is it's it's the president, it's this and that. The problem existed long before Maduro got into office. It was the problems were exacerbated by U.S. sanctions. They need parts for their oil rigs, they need parts for their gas stations, and even their cars. They can't get certain parts. Medical supplies. They can't get certain medical supplies, if not most medical supplies that are critical to them. If someone threw a monkey wrench into your engine, or a spanner wrench inside your engine, yeah, your engine's gonna break down. It doesn't matter how. I don't care who makes it. I don't care if it's Mercedes or BMW. It's gonna break down. So what sanctions do to a country, or can do to a country, is it can break it down. And in order for the petro to actually take flight and see the best of it is it has to have a function in society. The problem is if you destabilize someone's society, you can't say, well, it doesn't work because it's Venezuela. No, it doesn't work because it's being undermined from foreign sources.
But yeah, I agree with you. Because of the sanctions and America is dealing with Venezuela, it's what started. They didn't just wake up and say, "Well, we'll do these things. They'll lead to our currency being hyperinflated." There was a cause to this. If to what you're saying, what you're saying now. So
Hmm.
I understand it. I understand it.
All right, let's move on to the next article. I also got to look into Dash more. I didn't realize how powerful Dash was. So. This next article is from Bloomberg.com. Litecoin founder who beat 90% plunge now finds shadow over coin. This is going to be interesting. Litecoin founder Charlie Lee says he's focusing on increasing the use of the eighth largest cryptocurrency rather than dwelling on his uh, fortress decision a year ago to sell all his holdings at the height of the digital asset market bubble. At the time, Lee said liquidation was aimed at preventing a quote conflict of interest when making comments on virtual currency. The decision hasn't sat well with critics who accuse him of recognizing the mania and cashing out ahead of the roughly 90% decline in the value of the token. Quote, people lose money and they want someone to blame, quote, said Lee said in an interview Tuesday. And they think for some reason I had inside information, and that's silly. At the time when I sold, everyone thought it would go to $1,000. Um, excuse me. Lee announced his decision on December 20th, 2017, a day after the token reached a record high of about $375. It's been falling ever since and is now trading at about $30. The sale was done via several trades at an average price of $200, he said. The controversy may be the least of his worries, with few people using the coin. The number of transactions, which includes everything from trades by speculators to payments accepted by merchants, has plunged since peaking in January. So this is just a chart of what it looked like a year ago, over a little over a year ago. So the high point for Litecoin was around January, late December, early January of 2018, and then it suddenly took a dip, by the beginning of the summer. So, you have anything you want to add to this, Lionel?
Yeah, I remember when he Litecoin. Excuse me, man. Now I'm coughing. um, he said that he mentioned every time he said something about Litecoin, how the price went up, or people were following. Even I followed him on Twitter. Whatever he said, people were either invested or did not invest or sold their Litecoin according to what he said because that's the face of Litecoin. He created Litecoin. He's the face, and he is very talkative on Twitter. So people were following that, and a lot of people that invest in crypto are first time investors, though, so forth, so forth. So what he said was, "Hey, because of this, I'm going to sell all my Litecoin. This is well, I think this is a conflict of interest. Everything, anything, any and everything I say, people will take that and uh, you know, trade based on what I say." So he sold all his Litecoin. People were saying, "Oh, why would you sell it then? That we don't have any trust in the project." Blah blah blah. From then to now, you see all the crypto, not just Litecoin, the entire crypto market bottom fell out. But now that he's saying this, and now that it just don't sound right. It just, to me, it sounds like Hicks' excuse back then was a good escape to get out the crypto market. Maybe he saw what a lot of technical traders were saying. Hey, this, you're shooting up too fast. It just didn't sound right because he got out at like at the last minute. So it just don't sound right to me.
Mhm. Yeah, I was a big supporter of Litecoin in the beginning. I always thought that it was the alternative to mining for Bitcoin and things like that because of its
Mhm.
ease of adoption because of the cost. Right, cost of entry was low, and I think the mining aspect of it was shorter too in comparison to Bitcoin.
Mhm.
So I was a big supporter of it in the beginning, but now it's like, well, what happened? What happened to all these merchants? I used to see uh, Bitcoin, Litecoin ATMs everywhere, and now you don't really see them too much. At least in Boston is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I remember we read a story one time where we read that it was when Litecoin purchased 20% of a Dutch, not a Dutch, a German bank. I think it was a German bank, and it was saying how Litecoin can be used to purchase gift cards, and we were like, no, wow, we didn't know that. So yeah, they are you can use Litecoin, but now it's like you don't hear much about it anymore.
Mhm. What's going on, Dollar Will?
What's up? What's up? What's up,
What's
folks?
going on?
Yeah, I'm listening, checking out this story y'all talking about. It's like, what do people expect? I guess people expect that since he's the creator of it, he's the creator of the coin, right? So he should be the head cheerleader. He should be the head hodler. Is that what people think he's
Um,
supposed to go down with the ship? He's
yeah,
supposed to be more loyal than everyone else just because he created it. Maybe maybe that's what people think.
yeah. That's what people actually. That's what people were saying. When he sold it. My standpoint is the excuse he's using doesn't sit right with me. I think that he knows as much as you and these technical analysts, and he has contacts with good economists that and say, hey man, this thing's going up too far, too fast. You may think about getting out, and that's the excuse he used to get out was the conflict of interest. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think it took no brain surgeon to figure out, hey, I've reached the point of greed. This return has been amazing. We know that corrections or pullbacks or whatever are inevitable. At some point, everybody with some good sense, they take their money and they go sit down. you know, I think what is happening here is a lot of people are new to trading and they
Uh,
have not lived through these cycles where everything sounds so magnificent, glorious, like it can never stop, it can never stop, and until you've gone through these boom and burst cycles, it takes going through it to learn that everything falls at some point. Nothing goes up forever. So I think he's just getting the pie in the face because most of the people, the early adopters of cryptocurrencies, were people with very little trading experience.
hmm
And it seemed so easy. All you had to do was buy the thing and just keep buying more. It just kept going up, and that's not the totality of the trading experience. That's what happens when you catch a good trend. But there's another side to that pancake,
Mhm.
and so fortunately for him, he sold. It's no different than companies that sell or merge with another company. They know the party's about over too. It happens. He just made a good business move.
Right, and I agree with you. Like I said, my thing is his excuse. But of course he can't come out and say, "Well, I sold because of it was."
I
People.
mean, what was the excuse he gave?
He is very active on
I mean,
Twitter.
he said he sold for what reason? I mean, what
The
what
the,
reason
the
did he
reason
give
he
other
sold
than
the reason he sold at the time, I remember this clearly, was conflict of interest because whatever he's the face of Litecoin, so whatever he said on Twitter, people would invest or sell according to what tweets he put out. So he was saying because of that, it's a conflict of interest, and that's why I'm selling on my Litecoin.
Oh, so he's saying he sold it so he can preserve his right to speak freely without
Yeah, but
adversely impacting the. That's
exactly,
yeah. That I don't buy that.
Well,
and you're right. That's
that
what I'm
might
saying.
that might make sense if he's looking at the legal ramifications behind it, right? So he may have not even sold it all off. He may have put it into a blind trust for all we know.
Yeah, but whatever laws that spooked him, those aren't new laws. I'm sure he had every opportunity to become familiar with those laws before he ever came out with Litecoin.
Yeah, because he
That's
used to
why I'm
work
not buying
for
it.
he used to work for Coinbase. He used to work for Google and Coinbase, and he actually, according to the article, that also stated this that uh, people don't know he worked for Coinbase when he launched Litecoin. So he was privy to, not even privy, but knew rules
Right.
that were popping up when he was working at Coinbase, some financial rules. But my thing is again his excuse. Okay, that's fine and dandy. Okay, but I believe that you had enough sense to get out the market while it's still up.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that a company, it's not on him. This is on this comment is directed towards the people reading those tweets. It's understood, or should be understood by all, that the president of a company, or in this case a creator of a product or a currency, they are the head cheerleader. It's their job to tell good things about the product. They're not an objective source. So let's just go back to that point of people with no trading experience. They believe what they read.
Right, right.
That's why I'm a technical trader, because it is the job of these CEOs to. I'm trying to not say lie to you. I'm going to say instead to preach the good gospel, preach the good news. They're not there to tell you fair and objective, impartial information. So why would people? It's a problem that people were relying or trusting information from someone who was not objective,
and probably
who can't be, had no reason to perceive of him as objective.
and probably to be honest, Litecoin reached a point because he held a significant amount of Litecoin. It's his project. Why wouldn't he? So Litecoin probably made him many times rich, because at the beginning of 2017 it was $4.37, and at the end it reached a peak of $350. So he probably said, you know what, I don't need no more. I'm just sell, and give this excuse.
Right. At some point, you just greedy, and so at some point you go, okay, I made enough money. This is amazing, Probably his fear of losing the money was probably outweighed his greed for more money.
So Dollar Will, on Wall Street, isn't there some type of governance or something for like CEOs or people of publicly traded companies that they are not allowed to misrepresent like their earnings or like their projections?
Yeah, correct. They can't lie. No, they cannot outright lie. But omitting, omitting the it's like telling the whole truth versus just telling the good parts.
Now, but these guys in the crypto thing, they aren't covered by those same type of rules, though, right? Because they aren't covered by the SEC. Is that an SEC thing?
It is. They are covered by that. They can't speak on those type of issues and disrupt the market. This is what Elon Musk got into trouble with a couple months ago. He ran his mouth about certain things about selling off assets and selling off stock and things like that. And he wasn't supposed to say things like that. When you operate as a financial institution, you're liable for all of these comments. So him probably saying some things on Twitter probably got him in trouble. You can't walk your tweets back. So that may be one thing that maybe forced him to shift out. So
so even though he's not a publicly traded company, he still has to abide by those same rules. I didn't know that. Well, I mean, the Litecoin guy.
Well, I'm not sure myself. I'll go with what Mike's saying. I'm not sure what particular rules apply to him, but presumably there's some rules apply. Okay. Now, as far as him selling his shares, when you own a large percentage of stocks, especially if you're an officer of that company, you have to make it public that you are selling. Now, he probably did. And that's why he mentioned that he sold it on regular increments, probably at a scheduled, predictable schedule. And so I would bet he complied with all the rules.
Yeah, he's not stupid, because there were instances where people were getting in trouble in crypto over some of what they did, before crypto blew up. So he thought to himself, I don't want to get in a predicament where it comes out that I sold everything at one point in time, then I'll be in trouble. So if I sell everything, like you said, I will, in predictable increments, then that lessens the questions on me in the future.
Right. And he's looking at the daily volume. He knows
Hmm.
that he can safely sell, a certain number of shares a day without disrupting the flow. You don't want to become the trend. He has enough
Right.
money to overwhelm the market trend, and just for every buyer he can sell and turn the whole market down. But he probably was out of it a good bit before it reached the top. So that means all that, last momentum after he sold, that was the market driving it higher, not him.
Mm. Mm. Smart move.
Yeah, good timing.
Yeah, very good time.
All right, let's move on to the next article. All right, this one is from mbcrypto.com. Litecoin bounces above 10.5% in an hour. Lightning Network to credit. All right, the cryptocurrency market has turned green. Is moving.
Mike, you kind of fading a little bit.
Yeah, let me adjust my mic. You hear me now?
Yeah, I get. Yeah.
All right, the cryptocurrency market has turned green. Is moving toward a hopeful bull run, wherein Litecoin, the seventh largest coin by market cap, has finally gained momentum and broke out above 10.5% today. At the time of writing, the coin was trading at a relatively bullish price of $26.06, with a market cap of 1.5 billion dollars. So, um, this is all right. The investment the investment sentiment has clearly risen for Litecoin. One of the strongest speculations for the price hike is announcement by CoinGate that hinted toward the deployment of the much-awaited Lightning Network. Here, Charlie Lee, the creator of LTC, also retweeted the post on Twitter. Litecoin community, we bear some exciting news. Our Litecoin Lightning Network is ready to be deployed and will soon be live on CoinGate. Keep up with the news as we're getting closer. Here's a little sneak peek at LTC Foundation, Satoshi Light, Starkness. Um, what do you think about this, Lino?
Um, it's a bull. They're finding an excuse. And it's another reason why I'm getting away from the fundamentals, because the whole crypto market went up a good amount, and they picked out Litecoin and say, well, Litecoin is going up because the Lightning Network. But Litecoin is going up because of the crypto market. The entire crypto market going up. So why would you even pick out Litecoin to say, hey, because of Lightning Network? My opinion is they picked out Litecoin. God damn, I sound like a MSNBC person. My opinion is they picked out Litecoin to give it some juice to no, they may have got paid, or no, got some investment and say, hey, we need Litecoin to go up. Hey, the reason Litecoin is going up is because the Lightning Network is activated. That's why Litecoin is going up. When in all actuality, the whole crypto market went up at the same time. So Litecoin went up with it, not because the Lightning Network got activated on the Litecoin blockchain. And two, for people that don't understand what the Lightning Network is, what the Lightning Network is, it's just a second layer onto the code of Litecoin. So you send transactions through the Litecoin blockchain, Litecoin network. But if the transactions are small transactions, like you go into like you would say, Michael Bodega, get some flaming hot chips or something like that, you don't want those small transactions to continuously clog up the main network. So what you would do is, well, what they're doing is putting a second layer on top that will handle those, specifically handle those small transactions. So that's what the Lightning Network is. But them pointing this out, nah.
Yeah, no, very well done. Not now.
Thank you.
I,
Appreciate it.
I don't. I'm going to do this probably just once. I'm going to defend fundamental analysis in one way.
Oh boy.
Probably only gonna do it once. Fundamental analysis is it's good to tell you uh the economics strength or weakness behind a particular thing that you're interested in. And let's say, or if you have a whole industry with maybe 50 companies in there, and you want to pick out the best company from not necessarily for stock appreciation, but which one has the soundest business. Which one makes the most business sense. So fundamental analysis will help you distinguish or differentiate the ones that are have a good business concept, good management. It can help you differentiate all of that. But the misuse of fundamental analysis is when people use that information to justify when to buy and when to sell a stock. Now, people that use both fundamental and technical analysis, they research the fundamentals to differentiate the good businesses from a I guess a product or service point of view, and they look at the books to see that management is handling the money and managing the debt properly. So they'll use fundamental analysis to identify the winners in that regard, but then they'll use technical analysis to help them time and entry. So the mistake that a lot of people make is they hear the fundamental story, and it makes logical sense to them, and they go, "Well, I'll just go buy it now." No, no,
I
you
just
know,
want to read this small caption real quick. It says after breaching multiple supports in 1 hour candlestick, the support level finally settled at $22.04 or 40 cents. Post which the coin started to pump up with all enthusiasm. So I mean,
you see that high on the left of that chart. If you look in that, like maybe like that second column, reading from the far left of the chart, come all the way over that highest point. Yeah, move your right. That highest point, the highest peak. There you go. When that price made a higher high, because that violated the downtrend rule. The fact that it made a higher high right there, that made everybody go, "Whoa, I got to join this. We might have a reversal going on." So
mm,
that's that. So as it and you can look incrementally each staircase down every time the price crossed a previous high. That would build enthusiasm. That would even make technical traders look at it.
okay.
And in an article, they kept saying the seventh largest cryptocurrency, the seventh largest cryptocurrency. So it's like feeding the person reading the article subconsciously, hey, this is the second seventh largest cryptocurrency.
Right.
It got ranked. It's
Right.
top
So
10.
so all those logical, rational points make people, they're trying to be logical and rational. They like to be logical and rational, and so they say, "Yeah, let me buy it." But timing is important to it,
Hmm.
and that's what the technicals give you. If you're picking individual stocks, then there's a place for technical analysis. For fundamental analysis. I don't trade individual stocks. I buy ETFs. So I'm not. There is a place for fundamental analysis. Okay, but it's mostly misused. People mostly use that information improperly by just jumping in without any consideration for if this is the right time to buy that good idea.
Okay. Mr. Preem, you have anything? I think Preem might be eating right now.
Nope, nope.
All right, sir. All right, this next one is. I forgot to share my screen. All right, this next one is from CryptoBriefing.com. XRP too slow and centralized for banks. Nano founder.
Another one.
Banks won't use a token that has a supply controlled by a private company. So XRP adoption is unlikely as it's slow and too centralized, says the founder of Nano. He thinks banks are unlikely to accept it as it would give Ripple Labs, XRP's creator and biggest hodler, a near monopoly on the entire forex market. Colin Lamure, who created the nano cryptocurrency, explained to Crypto Briefing that the financial sector couldn't use XRP. In his eyes, that the fact that Ripple controls more than half of total supply with no obligation to spend it or burn it makes it too risky for the banks. Many FX firms, foreign exchange, uh, I've talked with have considered and dismissed them based on the fact that one company holds over 50% of the market cap. Quote wrote Lemure in an email. A single company holding this much of a position on a currency isn't something they would accept from a risk perspective. So what do you think about this, Lionel?
Okay, first I'd like to say I want to thank you all, you gentlemen, for for helping me up my game, iron sharper iron. Because if I wouldn't have, we all wouldn't have clicked up. I wouldn't have not have known or tried to look into everything I'm about to say now. This is like the last article. It's a steaming pile, um, and uh, they are coping for Nano. They want Nano to be whatever they want to be. That's why they're doing this. They're saying, hey, don't buy XRP, buy Nano. And this is the reason why it's a steaming pile. Ripple is a private company. Ripple made the software and the code of XRP. Ripple has Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz, the people who are in charge at Ripple Labs, have said time and time again, hey, if Ripple Labs goes to funk, if we go out of business, XRP will continue because it's a system. It's a system of money transfer. XRP do not need Ripple Labs to survive. Two, David Schwartz, which is the programmer, he is a former national security employee. He used to work for the government. I want to say NSA. He's deep into cryptography. He understands what he can. Well, he understands what he can and cannot do, and therefore he relayed the information what he can and cannot do. Ripple's board of directors, some of their board of directors have come from the government. The reason being is because they want to be adopted. They want Ripple not Ripple, XRP to be adopted. So what they clearly said that they put ex government workers, high-ranking government workers that know what they're talking about on their board of directors to guide them on the best way for XRP to be adopted. On top of that, all this year they have been adding bank after bank after bank throughout the world to their XRapid system. Some of the things people say about XRP. They say, oh, it's a banker's coin, blah, blah, blah. Ripple Labs have made an exerted, or not exerted, a diligent effort to decentralize the XRP, meaning they're getting outside people outside of the Ripple Labs to own nodes, which means transactions can go through these nodes to be verified. They are more decentralized than Bitcoin. Majority of Bitcoin hash power, meaning the mining power, is centralized in China. Ripple slash XRP is more decentralized than Bitcoin. Another talking point that these people have is, well, no bank would want to transfer an XRP because it takes too long to get your money and the exchange rate will change. That's false. It only takes no more at the max 3 seconds to transfer money from one bank to another bank, and I'm talking cross borders. That's less time for the exchange rate to change. That that's what the banks want. Also, they said that okay, so Ripple Labs don't own 50% of the XRP tokens. They don't because it's decentralized. It's more decentralized than Bitcoin. They don't own 50%. They also said that they have no obligation to burn XRP tokens. Every time the banks make a transaction, small portion of one XRP token is burned. It's like 0.000. I forgot the percentage that's burned. That's
What does
per
burn
transaction,
mean? What does burn mean?
meaning it costs. To keep it simple, it costs a token to send a token, meaning that's less tokens in the supply. Less tokens in supply, so it's deflationary. So,
Got it.
but it costs 0.0000 of a XRP to send an any amount. So it's deflationary. It does um gets burned. That's the fee. That's the fee. That's the transaction fee. Um, and they're saying all this because these are popular talking points. And for people who don't do their homework and do, like you said, dollar well for the previous article, do their fundamentals to look into, hey, what is this, what they're doing? Okay, on their website, you will see they partner with major banks. Um, then these popular talking points will control you, and people say, yeah, they're right. I should do nano. That's the trick. And I'm not saying nano was bad. What I'm saying is that's the trick they're trying to get people to do, not buy XRP, buy nano, because nano is kind of what nano is. They want to be a payment method, so they may see XRP as a threat, so they're putting out this junk.
So Nano is, let's see. Prior to this article, I thought XRP was like uh the only game in town, or the most likely suitor, if you will, for banks for international money transfer. So you're
They
saying,
Oh no, they are. It's just nano. They don't want to be on the same level as XRP. They just want to be a uh way you can send money to other people, like me sending money to you, not banks or any other major establishment. They just
they want to be like they want person to person. So they want
right,
they want a slice of the pie. They just want a small. They're trying to stop. Nano is trying to stop XRP from becoming like the universal architecture.
right,
They just want to get a slice for themselves.
right. And Nano's tagline is straight from the website: digital currency for the real world, the fast and free way to pay for everything in life. So they just want to be the way you pay for things. That's their thing.
Gotcha.
So
Well, you can't blame the guy from Nano.
no, 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 oh, no. I'm not blaming them. I
That's
mean, Satoshi Light or God dang, uh, uh, Lee. God, I forgot his name already. Tom, the guy that owned Litecoin. He mentioned them. He's saying, hey, look out for the Nano project. People are looking at them. It's rumored to be a good project, so forth. But I'm not blaming them. It's just that, like you say, if you don't do the fundamentals, you don't look into it, then you'll fall subject to what they're saying. That's all I'm saying.
I have just a quick announcement. Brother Paul Bryant, please schedule us in. We need your wisdom on the panel at some point tonight in this historic week for the markets. So the Black Brain Trust calls you.
We choose you. We choose you.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all.
All right, let's hit the next article then. Sorry about that. All right, next one is from CoinTelegraph.com. Coinbase moves $5 billion, reports largest crypto transfer on record. Major cryptocurrency exchange and wallet, Coinbase recently made what it claims is the largest transfer of crypto on the market on record. A company blog post on December 19th. According to according to the post, 5% of all Bitcoin, 8% of all Ethereum, 25% of all Litecoin, along with many other assets, were moved to new cold storage infrastructure in what the firm believes is the largest crypto migration on record. Coinbase reports that last week the firm completed an all-on blockchain migration of approximately $5 billion of cryptocurrency from Generation 3 to Generation 4 of our cold storage infrastructure. The latest storage system, which the company reported uses for all of its cold storage, begins with a highly controlled and audited key generation process and continues with a globally distributed key storage and transaction for approval system. According to Coinbase, the system was originally in place for its custody service, which launched in July, as Cointelegraph reported. Today, Cointelegraph reported that the Coinbase has launched an educational project that lets users earn cryptocurrency as they learn about it. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's um. I know the title gets people. Hey, Coinbase transferred 10. No, not 10. Why say 10? Um, 5, and that's a catchy title. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's good. Um, m- reading the article, it's more about them transferring crypto from a fourth generation cold storage to a fifth generation cold storage. That's what I'm getting out of it. That's what um, I get out of it. The fifth generation cold storage is more secure than the fourth generation, and they were able to transfer that much through their systems. That's what I'm getting out of it. Instead of, hey, Coinbase just transferred $5 billion, yay for them. I'm getting out of, okay, they're upping their cold storage capabilities because they're FDIC um, insured. Coinbase and Gemini, and the Winklevoss twins own Gemini. So I see this as them becoming more secure. Am I still online?
Oh yeah, you're still here.
Okay.
They're flexing. They're
Right.
flexing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They stunned. That's all they doing.
Yeah, I was
They
going to
just
ask you what's the millennial word for it? They stunting. Okay.
right. That's all they doing. They stunned. That's all.
What did we say back in the day? Flossing. Okay, so
Right. Right.
we got 5 billion. We got
Right.
five on it.
So because there's been stories within the past few months that Coinbase is not making a lot of money. We even cover I think we covered an article that an investor invested 300 million into them because they only have a on their uh platform, and those coins went down in price. The trading volume went down and so forth. So they wasn't the rumors were they were not making as much money as they report. So with this, they flexing.
All right, move on to the next one. All right, this next one is from CoinGate.com. Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse agrees America to have new financial system on blockchain. I don't know. You want to read this or summarize it?
Yeah, I'll read it. Well, I'll read a few like you, then I'll try to summarize it for people that are listening that may have questions. This article comes from CoinGape.com. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse is often vocal about connecting banks with the blockchain solutions. In his latest tweet, he mentioned how crucial blockchain technology for commerce is. He asserted to New York Post, writing that blockchain technology could prove to be as important to commerce as email and text messaging were to communications. Intending the financial system is built with blockchain, if built with blockchain, will help connect global people to access banking services. However, a day back when Twitter enthusiasts were busy talking about the usage of X Rapid and the regulatory stance as a security, they did mention Brad. They did mention Brad to speak on the matter. However, his latest tweet is quite remarking the point. So, digital currency reserved for America and financial systems. In this article, he's saying that the American financial system is printing money, printing money. We go over that here. That fact that's a fact here. The Federal Reserve is printing money. Cost to print money. The American debt system is high, so forth and so forth. So what he's saying is the cryptocurrency, well, the financial, the digital currency slash blockchain revolution can make that easy, make that burden easy off America. And he referenced an article. If please go in the description and click on the article. He referenced another article written by, I think, the New York Post previously, but they were pointing out points that saying, hey, blockchain can help the American financial system uh, come into the digital currency era, and it can also make America stronger. He also stated also in the article that America put their financial system on the blockchain, make things digital, make the U.S. dollar digital, and so forth. Then that will better help them deliver aid to other countries by quote unquote airdropping dollars into other countries' bank accounts that will help them fight whatever. It's just making it more efficient. It's making it not, what's what I'm looking for. You know how you put money to things and all of a sudden people take their cut. It just erases a lot of that, if not all of it. It's making it more efficient. Yeah. No, no, no. Okay.
I just came back. What were you saying, Doc?
Okay. It's a good post. Brad Garlinghouse he goes to a lot of financial and conventions, obviously because he is the CEO of Ripple Labs, but he's also a great um, spokesperson for the crypto sphere, for the things crypto, the digital crypto revolution can do for financial systems.
I mean, America's always leading in everything else. I mean, I can't see why they would leave blockchain on the table.
Yeah, it's weird, ain't it?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you put a man on the moon, why would you leave blockchain on the table?
Uh, I'm not gonna step into that. I'm not gonna step into that.
All right, let me go to the next article. It's actually the last one. All right, so this next one is from Afro Synergy News. Afro Synergy is actually one of our soon-to-be subscribers. Trump signs Enterprise Zone executive order. So there's something called opportunity zones, and opportunity zones were created a few years ago, or drafted a few years ago, and they were utilized to spark economic investment inside predominantly black and brown areas. And what it does is it allows millions, if not billions, of dollars of investment to go into these areas that are supposedly economically deprived. And then what it allows is for businesses to actually have very low tax rates um, for them to flourish. And then there's other fine details that go into it, but basically it's about driving economic growth in predominantly black areas. And Trump signed the executive order, so this is on the table now. This was thought of under the Obama administration, but the Obama administration did not even put it, to sign the executive order. So, the Dems lost out on this one, and Republican Tim Scott that you see on the left of on the right of Trump was actually the main driver behind it, and Dr. Ben Carson will be overseeing it as well. Anybody else have anything on this?
No, no.
Preem, please jump in.
Oh, say can you?
Are we signing off, man?
That's all I got. That's all I got. You already know what. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. It's been a great week. The crime bill coming out of Afghanistan and Syria, man. Just bringing our boys and our ladies home, man. Just good stuff for us, for our people. Good week. It was a good week for us. It was a good week for us. Mm-hmm. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light?
Okay.
All right.
Paul Bryant, what's going on, brother?
You're not going to sing, are you, Paul?
Absolutely not. I can assure you that. That is definitely not going to happen. Glad to be here, gentlemen.
Do you have anything you want to add to this?
Not necessarily anything that would be very germane, other than that I take a wait and see attitude.
Okay. Let me take 5 minutes and see if I can pull up a document for opportunity zones.
You want Preem to sing?
Well, while he's warming up the chops, I'll say this. I think it probably goes without saying, I believe it is incumbent upon black people to put themselves in a position where they have a better seat at the table. Okay. Mm-hmm. Instead of waiting for handouts and waiting for scraps, to put ourselves in a better position. Case in point, New York City, several years ago, for lack of a better term, they called it an air train. It's basically a 2-lane monorail. Was built from JFK Airport to the Long Island Railroad hub in Jamaica, and it's an elevated platform that supports directly over the Van Wyck Expressway. Now, because it runs through two black neighborhoods. Second, one being middle class, the other being poor neighborhood. 80% of the project was supposed to go to minority contractors. But what happened was 80% of the volume of total contracts went to minority contractors, but only 10% of the actual money of the value actually went to black contractors. So the point I'm trying to make with all of that is, instead of, it seems to me that black businessmen and engineers and people who have the wherewithal should come together, do business, and put themselves into positions where they're not sitting around waiting for opportunity zones and employment zones. And we should be doing these things ourselves. So, not exactly something groundbreaking, and I may have basically just said that water is wet, but just my two thoughts on this particular article.
All right. I just wanted to go over this because in Massachusetts we do have our own opportunity zones program. So, but Trump basically made sure that this goes un this gets recognized in just about every place around the country. So, so the Opportunity Zone program provides a federal tax incentive for taxpayers who reinvest unrealized capital gains into opportunity funds, which are specialized investment vehicles dedicated to investing in designated zones. Massachusetts has 138 opportunity zones located in 79 communities in all regions of the state. See if I can go back real quick. See what this says. Yeah, this doesn't have a whole lot of meat and potatoes on it right here, but actually, this is actually key. So, permanent exclusions of funds gains. If an investor keeps their investment in an opportunity fund for 10 years, any gains from the opportunity fund are exempt from taxation. So, what's happening now is they're talking about black people reinvesting into these neighborhoods would actually be able to recoup from this type, recoup from these small businesses that will be developed. And we talk about business all the time on here: microtransportation, blockchain, digital infrastructure, startups, co-ops. All of this stuff matters. And unfortunately, when we do have these discussions, not a lot of black people have a lot of interest in it, from my experience. Now, Dollar Will, you being from the DC area, do you have any insight on? Do you have any insight on how DC got its growth with being a predominantly black area?
You just hit it. Black leadership, black mayors and governors in Maryland. I'm not governors, but yeah, mayors, county executives, making it a priority. It's easy. DC is a different situation because as you said, it was overwhelmingly majority black. So it's not like a radical thing. The majority has to work. We kind of laugh inside of why we even speak in terms of minority when the majority is the minority. So.
Yeah, Gunna Warrior in the chat, I guess, asks, where's this question at? Oh, how will this help small businesses? So it's more about investing into a business rather than for small businesses in particular. Dollar, you might have to mute yourself.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's more about these areas that are economically deprived actually getting some form of resource. So I'll read this little paragraph here.
I mean, this is about federal contracts, right?
No,
It's not about helping small businesses get federal contracts.
no.
Okay.
An opportunity zone is a designated geographic area in which individuals can gain favorable tax treatment on their capital gains by investing those funds through a privately created opportunity fund into economic activities in the area. The governor of each state is able to nominate up to 25% of its low-income census tracts to be designated as opportunity zones. So that's in a nutshell, that's what an opportunity zone is, and that's basically what Trump signed into order as an executive order, so that it makes sure that you do get those funds into those areas.
Okay, so I have a question. So now, what's in it for the investor? I'm sure there's something in it for them. I mean, do they get like a set rate of return? Do they have any protection against losing their investment?
This is it's tax exempt, so you're not being taxed on capital gains.
Wow.
Oh,
well, we need to be more. Let's you know, partisan politics aside. This is great news.
And if I heard you correctly, that is but they have as long as they keep it locked up in there for 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, so they keep it locked up in there for 10 years. Now, and then the second part of my question is, do they have any protection against, well, they can't lose the money, can they? They can't go down.
Losing right? It
like let's say they put their money in that vehicle, and the money within that vehicle is used to provide business opportunities or to go ahead and fund small businesses or what?
I'm sorry, I missed your question because I'm breaking up on my side. Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. So the investor is going to put his money into these opportunity fund vehicles, and then the money within that vehicle is going to be allocated towards what exactly?
Small businesses.
And then let's say if those small, I'm not being a negative Nelly here. I'm just hypothetically speaking. Let's say those small businesses don't flourish. Is there any risk to that investor to lose the money that his principal, whatever he invested?
I don't know about that detail, but so let me put it in a nutshell. Let's say if Black people wanted to start a micro transportation business, and the funds would be available, and you would be able to invest into it. So it's kind of like a social equity program, and you wouldn't be, as I mentioned earlier, and I think the fact had said, you wouldn't be taxed on capital gains in this regard because you're doing business. You're trying to open up a business. So the very hurdles that actually hurt Black people is actually being removed right now.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
And then, and of course, the investor, he wouldn't have any say-so to where those funds are allocated to or towards. There will be someone who's appointed that's going to determine how those, who qualifies for funding, people will come, have their business proposal and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. And then whoever the director is or directors, in those regions, they will determine, who gets the funding, how much of the funding they get, if there's a public collaboration, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. So I'm getting some feedback on the opposite end, but essentially, you have to be in one of these areas too, that is considered to be either blighted or designated as an opportunity zone. So you can't just be like someone coming from Georgia and they want to invest into Baltimore. It doesn't really work that way.
So how is the determination made as to, okay, if say Paul wants to invest in area A, how do they determine that Paul is in fact from investment area A? Couldn't couldn't Paul just set up an address and set up a business front and just begin to invest money in that area, basically using this setup front in business A
They have a
as
census.
hmm?
They have the census.
Okay.
Yeah, they
All
have a
right.
census. So they know who's there by by voting records and things like that.
Okay.
Now, I would be going a little far into the weeds, but could someone who is a resident, who is not resident of that area, could he set up some type of entity to where he solicits investors from around the country and be like, hey, I'm here, I'm in the hot zone, I'm in the hot spot, I've got access to this because I qualify to go ahead and make investments here. So, I'm gonna start this little fund and just have, micro investors from around the country putting the money in, but he lives there. So I guess it wouldn't I hate to get too far into the weeds. It wouldn't necessarily have to be his funds though, right?
I think that gets, like you said, I think that gets into the weeds because now it's more of it's not clear. It's not clear as to that sort of agenda. But I think what they're trying to do is get black people to put their money into it by default.
But see, all right, all right, so help me wrap my head around this. If we're talking a poor area, all right,
Mhm.
economically disadvantaged area, is this program saying that the only people who can invest in this opportunity zone program, they have to live in this area? Because if that's the case, if it's already economically depressed, where are these people obtaining these funds to invest in this program to begin with? Or am I missing something?
I think the funds are already there. There's a set amount of money I think allocated for these areas. I forget what Trump said. I think something like $10 billion or something like that. Or something like that's supposed to go into it. I forget the exact number. So a lot, one third of that is going to come probably from the federal government, and then the other third is going to come from people like us, and then the rest of it is going to come from those on the ground. So if you so for example, if I lived in Brooklyn and there was in the section in Brooklyn that was deprived, then um, the fact that I live in Brooklyn actually makes me a stakeholder too.
Okay, so I don't have to live. Okay, well, all right. Let's take Brooklyn. So let's say we're talking Brownsville, which is
Mhm.
the bottom of the barrel. Do I have to live in Brownsville, or is it okay if I live over in Williamsburg, where the Jews live? As long as I live in the borough of Brooklyn, is that good enough for me to invest in this area, or do I have to live in this neighborhood?
To my understanding, I think that's how it works.
Okay.
They're not really clear on all of the details. I've been following this for a few years, and no one's really actually laid out a workflow diagram as to how that exactly goes. But that's my understanding that you have to be in that zone.
Okay, because the reason, all right, this the thing that I'm kind of trying to weed through is okay. Here in New York City, we have a program that minority contractors get priority for certain construction projects that are being built with city, state, and government funds. The loophole is in commercial construction, women are counted as minorities, not just black people.
Hmm.
So what a lot of the Guineas, the AKA Italians, do is they just simply put the company in their wife's name. She now qualifies as a minority, and then the company gets minority contracts. So that's a beautiful way around that loophole. So my question, see, my concern here is
Hmm.
that people are just going to basically take a same form here and do the same exact thing here with this project. Basically, you know, outsiders who either don't live there or they're going to take someone, which is something else that's also done here. They'll take a black person who lives in a black middle class neighborhood. So on paper, he now owns a commercial construction company. He uses strictly union labor.
Mhm.
That's on paper, but all the money is coming from another Italian or another Irish guy. So it's a company in name only. You follow me? And if I'm making sense here?
No, you're making perfect sense. That's some questions I've had as well. I focus a lot on nonprofits, but in co-ops. But I think I guess what they're trying to do is just trying to find a quick and dirty way, or quick and fast way, to drive economic growth in predominantly black areas, because it doesn't seem like black people really are driving any of these businesses in their neighborhoods at all. You see a lot of what they call Arabs and Latinos with their bodegas and their quickie marts and stuff like that, basically popping up all over the place, and that's actually pushing black people out. One of the things they did in Boston was they kept Walmart from coming in and setting up shop, so that they would not disrupt any of the small businesses. Um, that which was key.
Well, not against you personally, Mike, but just the statement that you made, which is a statement that I've heard for years. My pushback on that statement would be that at this point, it's so cultural. Black people are comfortable going to a bodega, going to stores owned by Arabs, going to the 7-Eleven owned by the Indian, and like it's like they don't even want to own the business themselves. It's like black people only want to own beauty salons and barbershops, and that's it. So even when given the opportunity, when the opportunity presents itself, they don't show any interest. And my pushback is that at this point, it's so cultural that simply providing the economic opportunity isn't enough. And in fact, it's going to be lost. And I feel that it's going to
Correct.
be played out in the same way that we continue to see over and over and over again. That it's a problem that has to be addressed within us first. So we develop the mindset to want to take advantage of these opportunities when they pop up,
Hmm.
which I think we're.
Yeah, I would like to rebuttal with
yeah,
that.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
yeah.
I vehemently
Who,
disagree.
who wants to go first?
I let Dollar Wills since I did a lot of.
Yeah, I think you're selling black short even in New York, let alone in DC. I mean, people just one these. I don't think we've had enough of these opportunities that we've neglected to take advantage of. That you can make that conclusion. you know and if you a lot of our communities are organized. We got ANC groups, and you got chamber of commerce and things like that. Word will get out. It's not a large number of the investor class is a small class anyway, irrespective of race. We got church networks. There are ways to do it. So and so it can be done. I just I think we need more. I think we're worth more consideration than that. We'll see. Time will tell. We could be sitting here a few years from now, and Paul can say, "See, I told you so," and I'll go, "Yeah, you were right, Paul." But
I don't disagree with what you just said, and I'm not trying to push back or be counter to what you say. In fact, let me not clarify, but let me somewhat expound upon what I just said. I feel that not enough of us have that mindset to want to take to avail ourselves of these opportunities when they come up. Now, I agree with you totally about the lack of opportunities, about the lack of access to opportunities. Myself, in the field that I'm in, again, I'm proud. I'm proud of the fact that I am in union construction and a union iron worker, and I've seen many individuals start up businesses, and simply for no other fact than I'm black, as opposed to an Irish boy doing it. What we have 10,000 more hurdles than what they have. So, But trust me, I'm with you. I don't disagree with you in the least. I slightly disagree with you, however. I don't believe I'm shortchanging Black people when I say that not enough of us have the mindset to want to avail ourselves of these business opportunities when they do come around. Because, case in point, how many people, again, how many people want to watch a brain trust stream versus a stream talking about boom shika and white people dying from drugs? I mean, that's telling you water is wet. And that's as far as I'll go with that. But again, time will tell. I honestly hope that this will be of benefit to people who look like you and I. But based on history, based on the mindset that a large number, in fact, I'll even say a majority of Black people seem to have, they do not want to do business. And even those who say that they want to do business don't seem to have the proper mindset for it.
Well,
There aren't
here,
enough who think the way we do. If more of us thought the way we do, I feel we could obtain more traction on this.
the environment changes mindset. Not So when the opportunities come, uh, people will change as a result of seeing the success of others. And I see us owning, whatever small level of business involvement we have. It's not small. I'm not gonna call beauty and barber shops small. It's where we are. We have a lot of people who have been successful at that level of business endeavor. And if new opportunity or as new opportunities become available for us to diversify and get into other business sectors, I see no reason not to think that the people that are successful at owning a beauty and barbershop can be successful at other businesses in these enterprise zones. So I think we're ready for it.
I honestly and truly would like to sign on to what you just said. Honestly, I truly do. Again, I just have to say, based on history, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully,
we've been fighting forever. We've never stopped fighting for
hope
business opportunity
I'll
for
say
the
this,
decades, for the
Bill.
decades. So that proves that we've always known that it was important, and we've always fought for it. And so the fact that if there's an opportunity comes, we have enough uh, political awareness, even if it's just by the politicians, even if it's just at the mayoral level, where we are very heavily represented. The politicians at that level will not let some economic initiative fail. There are too many people that have given money to those candidates who already understand business, and even those people will make sure that they try to control and capitalize off of it. So it's enough people in our community that know about money, and you don't have to, do much to convince them, because these are the same people that are already contributing to campaigns. It's
Yeah,
enough to know. And,
I
and
see.
and they're putting money in the plate every Sunday, building these mega churches. So we know about money, and it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't. It's not going to be as big of a class as you think. But we have enough people to meet us, to take advantage or fully exploit every opportunity this government wants to give to us. We are underutilized. So when you look at our current level of involvement in business, you have to, I see it as a lack of opportunity, and we have, yes, we have some cultural problems, and for me, probably the one of the biggest cultural problems that we don't really speak about is we don't challenge the more educated class or the more experienced class to leave these comfortable middle government jobs that we have to go out there and take a business risk to start a business. But what we do in our community, we say to the people with the least amount of education, the least amount of experience, and the least amount of capital, go out there and start a business. And then when they fail, we say, see there, that's a reflection of us. No, it's not. We have to flip that, and we have to challenge those of us that have been in corporate America for 10 and 15 years. We've seen how a successful business run when it's well capitalized, and we have to challenge them to go take a risk. But we stay for the gold watch. That's our problem. See, we pick on the underclass, but I'm gonna throw some back at our the most prepared among us and say, you got to do more than just get the gold watch. You got to take a chance, and you might fail. And that's when we have to be there as a community to catch our brothers and sisters when they take a chance in business and fail.
Well,
but we got to take a chance.
I will say, I will say one, and then Preem, I'll mute. Absolutely. Will, I will say that I like that. I accept that. Very well said. I will add that I hope that your words turn into reality. I am not hopeful, but I hope that it happens. But you raise a very good point, and some things that you've given me a few things to think about. But we'll see how things turn out. Preem.
Yeah, I think Mike was going to say something.
No, I was just gonna say Lionel can jump in. I think Lionel was asking about Dollar Will.
Oh yeah, that's right. My bad.
Oh no, well they went over it better than I can put it. A lot of points I was going to say, Dollar Will said already. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I just I don't think there's a question of ability or capability if black folks are able or capable. I totally agree that they are, but the question is as far as willing and pulling willingness and pulling the trigger. If it was all environmental and had to do with environment, then you wouldn't have case after case or instance after instance of people who come here to this country from worse environments and they hit the ground running, and they come here and they pull the trigger. And they come from worse environments. So the agreement that I heard in that is that a lot of it has to do. It's a cultural thing. We unfortunately we don't have the culture to support being opportunistic, taking advantage of these opportunities, and embracing capitalism. That is not an evil thing or all the time evil. Evil people do bad things, but I mean, this is capitalism. These opportunities are, one example of capitalism. And to the one point, as far as awareness, I mean, this should have been on every front page, for a headline on every radio station, on all media outlets, everything in Black America. Like, hey, come one, come all. Let's go out here and get it. But I don't think you can even honestly say there was even a blip of this being mentioned. So how can there be awareness when you have an opportunity like this that's specifically for us that's not even being made aware? And I like what Dollar Will said at the beginning, when you got to be politically agnostic, at these times, especially when these opportunities arise, irrespective of who put them out there. To just go out there, put those feelings, put those political differences aside, and take advantage of it. But to be hopeful is one thing, but actions speak louder than words. So within this last week, where were the actions? Where were the actions of awareness? There should have been 3 times as many more suits and female business suits in that room from across, the whole political spectrum, as it was, when he did the criminal justice thing went through that benefited us. He had the homie Van Jones step over there, and he was able to put his differences aside and say, look, this is a good thing for the community, for our people, and he was able to go in and do that. So when it comes to this economic thing as well, we just need more people, to be brave, like the brother Van Jones, to step up and be like, hey, this is a good thing for us. Differences aside, we need to be agnostic about this, man, and go ahead and take advantage of it. And that's all I got.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
pretty much where I'm at. I am, as I said, I'm not hopeful. I'm not.
Hey, Paul, can we let Jay Charles jump
Yeah,
in?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
hey, what's up, brothers? I personally have to agree with what Preem is saying. I look at, okay, what's most important about this executive order, right? What he's pushing out, and he's opening up pathways for blacks to create more income, to make more money, right? And it kind of ties to his mindset. He see things more as a businessman, and that's how kind of like what he's doing. He's trying to create opportunities for other people. Um, Now, on the other side, the people who don't take capture of these opportunities, that's on them. But it's just the way he thinks, right? He's a capitalist, so he think, how can I help them, right? How can I help them make more money? And I think that's what he's doing there. Um, I think, again, it's also a cultural issue as far as priorities. I am my background is family of immigrants, and again, like our main goal, we didn't have anything, so our main goal was make money. So I think it all comes down to culture, right? But when it comes to overall, like Trump's mindset, I think it's a good thing. I think he's trying to help those people those communities to make more money, right? And again, I think it's more of like developing those skills of how to do it, or if those people who know how to do it, they seem like they're more exclusive. They're not really trying to open the doors for others. That's from my perception. But do you brothers think that it could be more of an issue is that people are not really, kind of like teaching those type of skills to other people, or is this already there and they're just not taking advantage of it?
I think it's a matter of the environment too, right? So depending on where you live, if you live in the South, it could be more agricultural, right, as opposed to being in New York or in Boston or something like that, or in DC, where you have more, it's more tech driven, it's more policy driven, politically driven. So a lot of these opportunities that have to be created or will be created are largely respective of their environment. So I think black people are still stuck in the in the emergence of third industrial revolution. Uh, Most of the businesses that they start are always largely dependent on bigger businesses that are around it. So restaurants, barbershops, beauty salons, those type of things are centered around areas where there's high economic growth above above their companies or their businesses. So
Now, why do you think that? Why is it like that?
because they think small,
Mm.
so they don't really care about building a new sort of banking system or a new type of banking infrastructure or something to that effect. They don't think about that, right? So Bank of America is there, and Bank of America employs 250 employees. So therefore, those 250 employees are 250 opportunities that are going to come to your small businesses in that neighborhood. So I mean, how often does a person really get their hair cut? I get mine cut twice a week, but I'm only one person. I mean, how many other people really do that, right? So uh, barbershops are really limited, and beauty salons are really limited to the larger businesses. So if those larger businesses collapse, those smaller black businesses are going to collapse too.
I can I
Go ahead.
just a little pushback in defense of the people who own the beauty and barber shops. If they're raising families, supporting families with those beauty and barber shops. Are they small? Yes, but there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what they want to do, be a small business at that small level, that's fine. We have what about why are we saying that the people who own the small businesses need to think larger? No, the people who don't run businesses at all need to get involved. They're already doing their part. We have people that won't give up the cushy job. Why aren't we pushing that class to do those higher level tech jobs? I wouldn't expect the barber. I wouldn't expect the barber to get involved in that and those other, you know, uh, next level technological businesses. I wouldn't expect that from them.
Well, that's not what I was saying. I was saying that the highest level that they go is usually around small businesses that are dependent upon bigger businesses. So one of the things that when I talked to one of these uh, uh, loan officers was like they don't want to give out any more loans to black people doing barbershops and beauty salons. They don't want that. They want more fourth industrial revolution sort of ideas coming out of the community, which is we talk about this a lot on here, but on the ground, people aren't thinking on that level. I think that's where kind of where Paul Bryant is. It was coming from. Black people aren't thinking on a higher level. They think that having a small business, a Jamaican restaurant or whatever type of restaurant like that, they think that that's the level that they need to be. What happens is,
go ahead. But let me just say something really quick because I understand what Dollar Will is saying, and it's a good point. I never thought of it before till you just said it. He said, why is it not incumbent upon the people who are making the $150 to $250,000 a year in those corporate jobs to step away from those positions, especially since they understand how things work at the executive level of Bank of America, to start their own banking system? Why make it incumbent upon the person who's doing a small business to feed his family, to employ a handful of people, when you have the guy who has the MPA, he has the master's, he has a doctor, he has a PhD, he has the 15 years tenure right there in corporate America? Why doesn't he step away and put his parachute package or whatever they call it at risk to start a new banking system, since he's more than capable of doing it?
They don't live in that area.
Well, what are you talking about? I don't understand. We all live in this. We're not that sick. I mean, you say in a place like DC, you could go from the poorest section to better sections in Prince George's County. We're talking about a 15, 20-minute ride.
Not here in New York City, bro.
Not in Boston.
New York City. Not here in New York City.
They don't live in the same area. So a person who would be working at IBM or working at Fidelity, they don't live next to the same people who own those barbershops and those beauty salons.
And
they don't live close to Brooklyn?
No. All right, brother, listen to me. No. And what I'll tell you is this. For black people who live in because it's a cluster. It's a cluster of 4 neighborhoods, which are the 4 highest, which are the 4 highest black communities in New York City. They're all in Queens. They're all geographically touch each other. They are all a 30 to 40-minute drive on the Belt Parkway from Brooklyn. Nowhere near Brooklyn. They are a 20 to 25-minute drive away from downtown Jamaica. Okay, and they want nothing to do with those people. And I'll tell you right myself, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I don't even live there. Okay, live in a white area because I want nothing to do with the lowest economic strata. Call me any name you want. I don't want to do that. And I also refuse to do business with people who don't have any concepts or even have the mindset to do business. Now, I bring it back to what I say. It is cultural and it needs to be changed. There are not enough black people who are of the mindset to want to do business, to want to elevate their thinking and think higher. There are not enough.
So you're saying it's an issue of complex thought then. It's more of an issue. So it's not there. It's not, you can't really say, okay, small businesses or people doing small businesses or people in high level corporate jobs. I think what the issue is that we need more of a complex thought. We don't have more black think tanks. We don't have everything's very limited. So I think if we have more institutions, more think tanks that raises the consciousness of our people, financially, I think, yeah, that will happen. But we don't have anything around. I don't really see that much thing. We have here, but I don't really see many black think tanks.
We'll see.
But,
We'll see. All right. Well. Look. Listen. You have. All right. We have environment. Okay. We have the poorest neighborhoods. We have the lowest economic strata. We have the projects. We have all of that. Okay. And it's a self-perpetuating cycle. However, for those who are of the means, both educational, financial, who have the mindset, who have the wherewithal. We don't have enough of them who think this way. Okay. And
How
we
would you
also,
know that, if you're not in those communities, as you just said, so how can you, I think that's the cultural change that has to happen. People that are disconnected from those communities need to know that they don't know.
because even though I do not live in the lowest economic strata, I do not isolate myself. I'm around these people constantly. And I don't mean to say these people, I hate to use that term, but I know from whence I speak. I know from whence I speak, and I have to say that I don't disagree with what you're saying, but what I will see is, I'm sorry, what I will say is, you are hopeful that if you just present the opportunity, black people will just jump on it. That the only hurdle is that they don't have the opportunities presented to them. Now, I would say that is half accurate. There are opportunities that are literally not presented to them. However, there are so many. If I go to the lowest economic strata, those people are not concerned about doing business. They're
Well,
perfectly
Paul, I'm sorry.
content
How could you?
status
Why
quo.
would you? Why are we talking about? We talking about black people in general. Why do you go to the black people in the lowest economic strata and say they represent black people in the main? If we have economic diversity, even in those poor areas, if you will. Not everybody. Most of us don't go and live in a white community. That's a fact. Most of us live closer to those areas by choice. Okay, okay. I'm just a little pushback. I think that your I don't think that you. Listen, you're my brother, but let me just say this. I think when someone makes a choice and they say, I want to live in that white community, I think there's already certain opinions that they already have. When I came into some financial comfort, I absolutely had no interest in living in no white community. None. And DC is an interesting place in that you can pretty much live anywhere you want because it's very segregated. DC is extremely segregated, but you can still go and live in a white area if you want, or a mixed, an area that's racially diverse. You can choose whatever you want, and you can find every option you're looking for within probably about 30 minutes. And so your commute time to work is going to be the same. So the choice you make at that point is really going to be an extension of your values. I bought my house in Prince George's County with the full knowledge that my house was not going to appreciate as fast if I moved to a different part of the town. But I wanted to be with black progressive people. I didn't want to live in a white neighborhood. I personally can't take it. I can't deal with white people all day at work and then go live with them. I can't do it.
And there's absolutely.
Hey, Frank, go ahead.
Yes. So don't worry. There are a couple things getting conflated here. So let me just strip my question down to the whole thing. I think the culture issue, that the lack of culture, the culture doesn't support it. It's not limited to the class, to the lower class. So my question is, what's stopping the blacks, the upper class, the middle class, and the upper class blacks from being those titans of industry, knowing that they don't necessarily have to start a business or start a monopoly or be a titan for a business that supports the black community? They have the networks, they have the income, they have the access to capital. to go ahead and to step away from what Dollar Will says from their cushy jobs to go ahead and to start those big, high-minded businesses. What's stopping the upper echelon blacks from doing that without any type of government, subs, because they necessarily don't need it? What's stopping those blacks from doing those types of, what they call it, startups or this disruptive businesses?
It has to do with urgency, right? So, do you feel an urgency if you're in that position to actually go start a business if you're already having high income? For my experience, a lot of black people don't, and they don't even live in those areas anyways. At least up here, they don't. They're very
Again, it doesn't have to do with the area. It just has to do with, again, taking the opportunity and thinking big. So if there's no urgency on their part, so then maybe to the folks who have the barbershop or whatever, who's pulling down 70, 80 grand a year, to how mother and pop and and a kid or two. Maybe they also have a right to not have a sense of urgency because they're having their needs met.
But that's a part of the problem, right? So what I was saying earlier is when I spoke to a loan officer at one of these events, and they said that they do not want to give out any more loans to barbershops and beauty salons. If you're coming with that, then you're not going to get a loan. So the idea is now, what kind of industries are those black people going to get into to get the type of loan that they need to start the next wave?
And can I ask you a question? Because I had this discussion with Minute Tomorrow when we first introduced each other, and my position was, banks are, they're in the business of loaning money, to go ahead and collect the interest. So if you and this gentleman had a conversation, what did he share was his reason for being biased against barbershops and beauty salons? I mean, are they high risk? Do they fail a lot? No.
They're high risk and they're low growth. Because if you look in most predominantly black neighborhoods, there's a barbershop and a beauty salon on every corner. So therefore, the amount of revenue that's going to be in that area is going to be extremely low because there's too much competition.
I know this sounds naive, but it doesn't matter what the banks say. I know it sounds naive because all the banks can do is establish the requirements, and you can show up with the right number of partners and make the paper look good, and they have to give you the loan. So
no, this isn't.
I think what Mike's trying to say is becoming oversaturated, right? Is that what you're trying to say, Mike?
Yeah, the environment is oversaturated with the same exact business, repetitively, block for block. So now they don't want to give out the same loan to for the same exact business. What they want is something that's more they're looking for the next Facebook, basically.
Okay, so how do we create that? It's going to take, again, you think more complex thought, like we have to talk about these things, because again, I speak to
government workers
a lot of people don't know what's going on about this.
So those government workers with the skill have to get off their butt and go run a business. That's it. I mean, we work in America that segments out a small number of token slots for black folks to get in corporate America, okay? And we not making best use of those resources. What we do is we get in and we hog that daggone job and we stay for the watch. We need to change our culture that says to the people when they go to get those jobs that the community's expectation is that you're going to leave that job at X number of time. Have the church involved and the whole community involved to help you be successful in your business. And when you leave that job, another black person will go in and fill that spot. That way we can churn and create more employment from the bottom, because you went in, you got the most out of that corporate experience, and you got out, and another person goes through.
All right, Dollar. They're not doing that. When are we doing that? I don't see nobody.
No, that's the problem. That's exactly my point. Because I'm saying we need to, instead of we're always pressuring the people at the lower economic end and talking about all that they're doing wrong and all the ways that they need to improve. Well, I'm pushing back on the people who, quote, made it. Okay, I'm pushing back on them and say you're not doing enough.
Well, if you're a card-carrying union member of any organization, I mean, you kind of, want to live out, work out, to your 45, 55, get that pension. I mean, you don't want to walk away from that.
Well,
right?
we can't have it both ways. We cannot say we need more growth and more entrepreneurship in the community, and then we say to the people who run car washes and beauty and barber shops, you guys need to step up and think bigger. I mean, no.
No. I think you're misconstruing what I'm saying. I'm saying those businesses already been established, so we don't need more of those businesses. We need more fourth industrial businesses. And I think the problem is that black people aren't thinking on that level. And I think that maybe where Jack and Paul Bryant may be going with that is that black people aren't even thinking on that level at
Okay,
all.
well then
And the black people that you're pushing back against don't even live in that area anyways.
Which is all that I'm saying. Well, that I liked the plan that you just said and you just put forth. I do. I like it. But again, all I'm saying is I don't see enough black people who are willing to even think outside the box and do things differently for any type.
Wait. Don't we still have black folks going to college and majoring? Isn't everyone pushing for more STEM degrees? And so, that's where it is. That's your group right there. That's the people that should be creating these businesses, because the person that's owning a barbershop, they're working at their level. They're at their level. They're running a barbershop.
I understand.
If they could do something technological, if they were trained to do it, they probably would do it. But I don't think that they probably weren't on that track. They don't have a degree. I'm not expecting somebody who wasn't interested in science and the technology and math to go out there and run a technology business.
And Will, there is absolutely nothing. At no point have you ever heard or will you hear me say that there's anything wrong. There's nothing wrong in running a barbershop or a hair salon. What I said, and I will say it again, there does not seem to be enough people who even want to think to do anything else. It is not strictly because of we don't have enough opportunities presented. No one is even thinking about exploring these new forthcoming opportunities. Blockchain.
That's what I'm asking you. What I'm asking then, just to be clear, is that you focus what you're saying and point it and be more focused and say the people going to college, getting degrees, that those people are not thinking about running those businesses, because that's where you need to aim it.
That's a damn good point that Will just is making. That's a damn good point.
Yeah, don't put this on the whole community now. Come on now. Aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire.
Go ahead, Lino. Go ahead. Lino, are you there?
I think the white man has his foot on his neck again.
All right. I'll tell you from being in tech that the dynamics are different for black people in that area. You can only really start your own business in that area unless you had that experience. And a lot of those black people are trying to get the experience first before they even start something. You might have some ideas, but you're not going to get any angel investment unless you actually have a well thought out endpoint to endpoint objective and plan. If it's not well thought out, then no one's going to listen to you. And that's part of the reason why we have these hangouts, when we talk about, fourth industrial revolution technologies and industries. We make sure we go over it in detail so that there's a clear understanding as to what you're getting yourself into, or what we're getting ourselves into, or what the people listening to this would get themselves into. A lot of that time for black people, they don't really think along those lines. They think that, well, I got some, I got a few servers laying around at work, so I'm gonna pop them into a rack, and then I'm gonna, plug that Ethernet cable into it, and then we're gonna be on and popping. No, that's really difficult to really get it off the ground, because if you haven't thought about it from start to finish, from design, build, and run, it ain't never gonna work. It's gonna fail, and no angel investor is gonna put their money behind that. So you
So
get some experience first. But
how do you get that community, that group of people that's in corporate America up to par so they can handle that challenge? That's all I'm saying. Focused on them.
No. We don't have to focus on them, Dollar Will, because those people don't live. Those people don't live in those economically deprived areas, anyways.
Let me check, because I'm lost. I'm lost in how the conversation is bringing in that economically deprived area thing. I don't think that's even related to what you guys, unless I'm missing something. So help me understand how that is related.
We were talking about the opportunity zones originally.
Correct.
And right, so the opportunity zones only happens in these lower income areas.
Correct.
Right. You want to say that?
Correct.
So in order to get those new sustainable businesses in those areas, you would have to have that mindset, right? So if you're going to create a tech startup or something to that effect to get the loans for it, people would have to already be thinking that way. But if you're just talking about creating more barbershops and more beauty salons,
so you saying that the plan is a joke. The proposal was a joke then. If you're telling me that the proposal is for high skilled experienced people in a low income area to provide business opportunity for them, if that's what you're saying, then it's a sham program. It's
I'm not saying that that's the main point of the program. I'm saying that's one of the advantages that could be taken of the program.
But then which goes back to what I heard earlier, to what Will said, is how can you expect people in that area to have the skill set to start a tech company? It is incumbent upon the people who have the degrees in STEM and this, that, and whatever in corporate America. That's why I said earlier it's being conflated here.
They got $1,000 for an iPad, $500 for Jordans and Louis Vuitton. I don't.
That doesn't have anything to do with computer skills. So,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's enough wherewithal to actually go out and do those things. So where's the wherewithal to actually go to your local library and learn about these things? There's all types of free programs at these libraries that most Black people aren't taking advantage of. So they can't complain about that.
And where's the wherewithal for the Black folks who have the skill that's in corporate America to pick their ass up and go move to that community to qualify for the program? Hook up with their cousins, some friends, and come on, get creative. The same way we got these jobs, the same way of create. We had to get in the creativity we needed to get in corporate America. Use that same creativity to take your butt back to the hood and get in one of these programs and start a high-tech business. Come on, man.
Can I ask you one question, Will? Can I ask you one question? Because
Go for it.
Understand, maybe you feel a certain way because of my choice of where I choose to live. Why should I move to a low economic depressed area?
My answer is, if you don't want to move there to take advantage of this economic opportunity, then I think it's disingenuous for you to judge the community for not having the people there or creating the people there that have the skill to take advantage of the program if you're not going to go and participate. It's just hypocritical to me.
I disagree, because it is not incumbent upon me to help anyone else change their mindset. It's not. It's not incumbent upon me to help anyone else change their mindset.
I didn't say help anybody change their mindset.
You can spend $1,000 on an iPad.
I didn't say that. I said you can certainly. You can physically. Don't go there to help nobody change their mindset. You move there and you run the business.
Can I just a quick comment from like 5,000 feet? So I know like 2 or 3 barbershops here in Kennesaw that are like, 2 of them were started by the guys that worked at the one, and they left and started their own, and all 3 of them are doing fine. So again, I'm not saying that to kind of minimize the conversation and say barbershop is good. I'm saying that to say that, okay, what I see from 5,000 feet is I just see an ecosystem that kind of serves itself, that kind of has all the pieces together to serve itself. So the guy, Jimmy, that owns the one barbershop, he's heavy in the church. He ran for city council, so he's got the whole community thing going. and then maybe some lady may open up a little fried chicken restaurant. I hate to, get sound, I don't for the sake of sounding big or whatever, but they go over to fried chicken restaurant, barbershop, this, that, and whatever. But all that stuff is an ecosystem that self-sustaining and serves itself. So where is the equivalent of that on the high tech level, where you have people who have the degrees, who have the skills, who have the networks? Why haven't they created an ecosystem just like the white boys did to support?
They don't live in these areas. They don't live in these areas.
But I'm saying, I mean, a lot of times, a lot of these tech companies, they don't get government funding. They get private funding. So if these people are making, low to mid, sometimes high six figures, they've got the capital and they've got the brain capital. And to get and all VCs want to do is make money. If you give them, there is not. One of my mentors said, there's not a lack of money, there's a lack of opportunity or deals out there. They just want to put their money to a deal. They need a place to go in and park their money. So having a lack of capital, I don't think, and again, I'm not someone that's actually been out there looking for VC money, but I don't think that's a big of a problem as people make it out to be. So for these guys that are talking about the tech product thing, I'm sorry?
No, I was just saying it is.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and defer to you, since you have far more, understanding in that field than me.
I think we have a cultural problem, and all I'm saying is we got some psychological problems too, and I'm saying that it spans the entire socioeconomic spectrum. But whenever we talk about our problems in the community, we never talk about people on the higher end and their issues. Okay, when opportunities come up, or when I'm in black areas, I see everybody there but us, and I'm gonna push back on this thing about the immigrants. This is a completely different situation. They're not in the same boat with us. There's no other community out there that's any better or stronger than us. They're not in our situation. Okay. When you go to our community, you see everybody from the world there. Everybody. They set up shop and run their businesses right in our community. They sell chicken wing shops and all these little shops that you call small. They do it, and they send their whole family to school, and somebody becomes a scientist, and they just go up from there. White folks, everybody come to our community, set up businesses. They'll buy a house in a hood just to show, or a condo or whatever. They'll rent part of it out. They'll just to be able to say that they live there. They will game the system in any way possible. Even if they don't physically live there, they'll buy the property to be able, because the property is cheap. They'll buy it, and so on paper they can say they live there, and they'll be living out in Virginia or whatever. They do what they got to do to take advantage of that economic opportunity. But black folks is higher up in the chain, don't want nothing to do with it. Then the same way we feel about going in the hood to take advantage of economic opportunity is the same way we feel when the issue is Africa. Everybody's there but us. We got a problem, and it's at every level of the socioeconomic spectrum.
Well, all I said was, why is it? I understand you keep saying you have pushback, and I have no problem.
We got 2 minutes left, and I just wanted to make sure.
Sorry.
Oh wow, we're gonna cut off. I can't do stocks. Wow, damn, we can't extend it, huh?
No, I just want to make sure that Scholar Chang chimes in. Scholar Chang, you have anything you want to add to this?
Hey, how you doing, guys? I'm just more of listening today, because I know that are we still on the issue of the economics in terms of the Trumps, or are we start going into the?
Throw out what you got.
You can talk about Trump.
Oh, okay. Well, so here's what I see, right, in terms of which is kind of also related to what we just talked about. I think, how can I put it this way? The whole concept of class warfare is still going on. So that's why when we talk about, when you talk about the low income class, how lower income, the segregation between the lower income, middle income, the upper income, and so forth. I think that really transcends race. So so that's just that's the part I want to just mention, in regards to what we just talked about. Now, going back to the Trump issues, that he you guys remember the books, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad. And Trump has a whole chapter that he talked about how he he explicitly mentioned that if he were ever president, he's going to favor any individual with assets as opposed to any individual liabilities. So I'm not surprised that all his policy has been extremely uh, pro-business, which sometimes can be to the detrimental of the working class or individual who is not as was not enterprising, who's not as enterprising motivated. So that's why I just want to mention that. So even though he create all these economic, so yeah, in a sense, yeah, rising tide lift all the boats, but that's gonna create a lot of it's that's also gonna create a lot of gaps, where people is gonna fall through. That's all I want to say.
Who you think? I'm just jumping out. Who you think is gonna fall through these gaps? Like who you think are really the ones to be affected the most?
Oh well, first of all, when we talk about the free enterprise, of course, automatically the individual is going to benefit the most out of the individual with the capital. So,
Yeah.
the existing, the existing multinational corporation, of course, they're definitely going to be the first one. But I'm concerned is that this type of initiatives can drive a division which already exists between the small business owner. We talk about the mom and pop shops business owner and the big individual who are employed in the the employees, or to borrow the old terms from the old left proletarians. So it's gonna create this another deeper division between the not the capitalists, but the petty bourgeois, which is the small business owner. That's going to deepen in the gap between them and the employees, because the free enterprise zones and all those stuff. Really, what he's trying to do is yes, I understand he's trying to motivate the buildings of the domestic business, but at the same time, he didn't really address that. Which we already mentioned before, the skill gaps. Yeah, the skill gaps itself cannot be resolved. In the matter of a couple years. It's going to take, I would say, at least a decade to really close the skills gap. But the fact that he pushing this enterprise zones, while we still have this existing gap, whether it be the skill gap or the wealth gap, that's gonna create. That's what I'm saying. That's what the gap. That's what the holes are. Is because the individual who fall through it is going to be the individual who have not yet caught up with the with this progress. Well, I won't used to use the word progress, but this movement.
All right.
You know what? You know what? You can, I'm sorry. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, it's like you cannot. How can, how can I say this? It's like just plugging a hole in a dam that's already aging. So it's not really he's not really building a new bridge. He's not building, for example, it's just to borrow a construction term. He's not really building a new bridge, but he just merely repairing some of the faulty parts. But the foundation itself is still kind of shaky. So that's what I mean when I say individual who's going to fall through. The individual has not yet caught up with the gaps.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, well, now do you think this? Okay, we see this. The Fed rate has been increased 4 times this past year, right? Do you think this has a lot to do? I know there's an upcoming meeting between January and March, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to increase the rates again. They're expecting more increases in the first quarter. So do you think this has anything to do with that, as far as with loans and something like that?
Yeah. That's my point. Is that the Fed, when we talk about the Fed raising the interest rate, really the people who benefit the most are the people who already hold the people who already possess the assets. For example, the homeowner or stockholder, all these individuals who can stand to benefit from the interest rates. But we talk about the rest of the individuals who are assetless, right? Those people gonna be hit worse. Why? Because a lot of time, a lot of them already deep in debts, whether it be I don't care if it's critical debts or loan debts, wherever, the rise of interest rate is gonna further create a problem. Now, in terms of the enterprise zone, yeah, like again, he's trying to, how can I say this? All his policies can benefit the individual who are already enterprising. For the individual who are not enterprising, is gonna just further the problem, exacerbate the problem. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Mr. Bryant? Do you agree that what Scholar Chan point from your experience, from your point of view?
Specifically, what, sir?
In regards to it's going to create more of a bigger gap, bigger division amongst small business owners uh, and those higher up, those who are coming with more wealth. Like, do you think it's going to create more of a bigger gap, or um, what's your thoughts on that? I want to
I
hear your perspective.
absolutely agree because everything that we've looked at the past 10 to 15 years points to that, especially since the economic crisis of 2008 forward. The middle class is getting squeezed, it's contracting, it's getting smaller. We've been slowly returning for those, and I'd like to think Dollar Will can also speak to this. We're seeing a move closer towards the economy of the 1930s and 40s, where you have the lowest economic strata and the highest economic strata, and the middle is next to non-existent. We're seeing more and more of that, and generally, money money tends money tends to follow money, and money tends to flow where there's money to be made, with little
Yeah.
to no regard to the well-being of the common man. So I totally agree that that's definitely what that's definitely what we're seeing, and it's a trend that's been going on for years, and it seems to be picking up more pace.
I
But
would
that's what
say,
capitalism is, though. That's what it is. It's always going to be that division when it comes to capitalism. So, right.
Yes, true. However, I see that there is an X factor called greed, and that
Mm,
greed has led people to make irrational decisions, and also decisions based on greed, to
yeah.
the detriment of people. Because, see, here's the thing, right? Above all else, I do not believe that you have to make money to the detriment and suffering of people. You don't have to. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Now, you can say that's pie in the sky, or I'm naive. That's just my personal point of view. But
Yeah.
there's so much greed, and these dudes just don't care. Just make money, make money, make money.
Yeah, yeah, look, I'm not gonna say this right. I know it to be a fact. But don't ask me for evidence right now. But of all the economic systems, let's just say capitalism, socialism, and communism, the gap between the rich and the poor, or the richest and the poorest, is
Hmm.
actually, those two systems is actually the least. The delta is actually the smallest in capitalist society versus if you look at any other system that's out there.
Sorry, I don't. Okay, I just want to add though. I don't mean it's just that. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I meant to misconvey miscommunicate my statements. That's what I mentioned earlier was not a critique of capitalism. I'm sorry. I'm just mentioning this because capitalism. Let's be honest here. Out of all economic system we have so far, I capitalism is the best. I'll just be honest here. Unfortunately, out of all the systems we have so far, because whether it be the rise of socialism and communism, that was to address, which is trying to address the problem of capitalism, but that form of capitalism, that the one that the original concept, I don't care if it's Hegel's or it's Karl Marx, whoever, when they rise to address the capitalism, what the form of capitalism they were confronting wasn't the the purest, what do they call that? The anarcho capitalists. They're not really they're not addressing the problem of anarcho capitalism. They're addressing the problem of corporatism. So that's why I wasn't criticizing capitalism at all. Mention specifically with respect to the existing the Trump's policy when he trying to push for all these pro business while it's great that he's pushing all this pro business policy, he should also take into consideration of the working the needs of the working class, because a lot of working class are not business owners. Most working class are employees. Are like, again, use the word the proletarian. So that's why what I mean is that I'm not saying that was the evil capitalism. I'm just saying that particular policy that he was trying to advance should be more inclusive. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah, there was a very small gap in terms of wealth disparity in the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union was at its peak. People was eating 3 times a day. They had access to resources and healthcare and things like that. And now, once the Soviet Union collapsed, obviously there was, people were eating out of dumpsters. But for the most part, I think that the capitalism that's in America is different than what you see in, let's say, Germany. Right? Germany is a socialist state, but it still has capitalist drivers in place in order to move the economy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. My apology. No, that's why the Russia. That's why. Have you guys noticed that the Russia nowadays has this? That's why they embrace Vladimir Putin so much. Why? Because a lot of Russian populists are actually yearn for the return to the old Soviet, style of politics. Have you guys noticed that? That's why they start to celebrate all these. This old, the old image, the old Soviet Union images start to re-emerge. In the culture norm of contemporary Russia. That's precise reason because of that. Because this the dissolution of Soviet Union brought about the inequality, but it was a widening inequality. But what do you say?
No, it was very narrow. Their inequality was very narrow in comparison to capitalism.
Now, with the caveat though, it was narrow between the what I'm talking about among the different class of the general public. Now between the of course the party elites, the individuals who are in the party bureau and so forth. Of course, they're going to be the one who always going to be the the ruling class. They're the elite, they're the rich one. So yeah, the gap between the general public, it was very narrow. But now what happens right now is that not only the gap between the ruling class and the public is wide, but also the gap between the different classes of the general public are also becoming widened. So that's what the problem started kicking. Do you guys see what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah,
the political class, they're always going to be super rich, super elitist. But right now, what happened is that not only the gap between the political class and between the ruling class and the masses are widening, but also between the different classes of the public, the masses are widening. So that's what the whole division, the conflict start to kick in. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. See Boogie straight ahead. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, I'm just catching up on everything, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to just mention briefly about this wealth disparity, or poor distribution of wealth, the increase of I guess the pie ain't working, the dwindling middle class. This quote unquote correction or downturn in the market is going to improve that situation, because the poor, they're already poor. They're not going to get any poorer. Over the next 2 years or whatever. What's going to happen is that people at the top and some in the middle, but especially at the top, they're going to take the hit. We're going to see a lot of their wealth disappear. So that's my mission as a trader, to get you guys to watch these charts and participate in trading, because we can basically redistribute wealth by winning in the market as these markets decline. That's the quickest way for the revolution right there.
Mhm.
Get that money. Get the bag. Get the bag.
Yeah, I think that just me personally speaking, I do see some issues with black people in capitalism. Um, and I think we've discussed that there are some cultural issues um, with economics and just innovation in itself. Black people probably today suffering the same problem that the Soviet Union suffered, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They just did not innovate enough. They can't make a computer to save their life, but they can make a missile and other types of military arms. Uh, Black people in these economically deprived areas also seem to lack innovation. So they don't tend to build industries that would be more sustainable and have higher means of income for themselves. So that's the dilemma that I see going on. And what's interesting about Trump's initiative is that he said in the video that they're focusing on East Baltimore at the moment. But it's going to expand out. I mean, but they're using East Baltimore. I don't know anything about Baltimore, but it sounds to me like that's the most economically deprived area in Bmore.
Yeah.
I was going to disagree with you when you said well, I was going to agree and disagree with you when you said as far as black folk not being excuse
Innovative
me, yeah, like innovative, man, and
today's terms,
well,
not in yesterday's terms.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like this is what certain constructs put in place has turned us into. But historically, we always been the most innovative. When you have nothing, you got to use your imagination.
Exactly.
So this is one of the downfalls of certain handouts or whatever people want to say, man. It really stumped and stymied some of our growth in certain areas, man. But black folk historically always been innovators, man. But like even if you look at corporations and things of that nature, even if you look at new inventions, man, it's not too many people out here that are really reinventing the wheel, man. It's a lot of people who invent stuff, and people kind of go behind those people, man, and kind of find their footing within what somebody already blazed the trail, So it's not. I don't necessarily think that's black folk problem. I just think this large safety net that has been there for a long time, man, it kind of stymied the growth for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I disagree, Bookie. I disagree. I don't think that we our problem. I will criticize us in one regard, and that's coming. Our civil rights push was not multi. Our economic approach was not our economic salvation. Our approach to salvation, economic salvation, was not multifaceted. It was, we're going to get you a job. We're going to get you a job. It was all about getting a job, creating equality of opportunity to get a job. Nowhere in there was it at the top line, we're going to grow as entrepreneurs. We had in segregation, we had a lot of businesses, and we gave up those businesses because it was easier. Life was easier to go get that job. Okay, so I'm not going to say we were wrong to fight for equality and services and support, affirmative act. All of that's good. It's just we needed to do more than that. We also needed to push for a growth of a business class. We also needed to embrace capitalism. I agree with you, Mike. We need to embrace capitalism, and we need to know that the root of it is capital. You got to know how money works. And as I often say, there's three ways for you to exist in America when it comes to money. You can be a laborer, that's get a job. You can be a business owner, or you can be an investor. The goal should be to do at least two of those three. But nobody in our culture, we never made it important to go beyond getting a good job. Once you get a good job in America, in our community, you've made it. That's the way we think about it, and that's the problem. It's not that we got social programs. No, it's that we didn't maximize the fact that we were getting social programs.
And Will, that's the point that I was trying to speak to, and you just articulated my point, and I understand. I think that your mindset is that there has to be leadership from the top down, that the reach back, reach down thing. But
no, I didn't say that.
Not enough people are thinking what you just espoused. Not enough Black people of all economic strata are thinking that way. Who's thinking blockchain, currency, business, new ways, do things differently? That's the point I was trying to make.
Well, Paul, a lot of that comes from literacy.
Yes, exactly.
There's a lack of literacy amongst a lot of African Americans. You know, not just reading literacy, but just digital literacy. Go ahead, Preem. Go ahead, Preem.
Yeah. So I want to ask Mike a question. So
yes, sir.
To the argument as far as the lack of innovation, you know, there's a lack of innovation, you know, in the economically deprived, economically challenged areas. And that, you know, causes for you know, at least for frustration, because, you know, they're coming up with the same old businesses because of the lack of innovation and, you know, industrious thinking. So my question to you is, can you give me an example of an innovation, or, you know, something that was disruptive or industrious that came from an economically challenged sector of the white community, the Latino community, or the Asian community in this country? Can you give me like an apples to apples comparison, like two of them?
I can't personally give you an example of economically deprived white areas, but what I can say is looking at the startup space, I have seen in other countries that have been economically deprived, they have pumped money. Like, for example, Putin has pumped millions of rubles into millennials to get them up to speed on artificial intelligence, so they can start creating their own artificial intelligence platforms, so that the nation can compete. I think the problem with America is that they're not. One, we don't have access to the same capital, right? So that's one area that has been a concern, and that's why you have these opportunity zones that have been designed. And then two, you have to have some form of literacy. And unfortunately, when you talk to a lot of, you know, Black people in the manosphere, or even in Black YouTube for that matter, they're not having these conversations. And if they're not having these conversations online, they're not having these conversations offline. I can almost guarantee you, these lenders don't want, or the lenders or the investors don't want to have anything to do with their current business opportunities.
So which is why I phrased the question the way I phrased it. So then that means that we can't actually say that there's a disparity in the economically challenged areas in Black America because of their lack of coming up with these innovative and industrious, you know, breakthroughs, because we can't even cite something, you know, that happening in other economically challenged areas in this country. So it's not a Black problem. To your point, it's probably a literacy problem. And to Dollar Will's point also, how can you expect a tech startup to come from an economically challenged area? It should be coming from those who have that skill set, and you won't find that there, because if you can't find that there in amongst other groups in this country, then how can you say that black folks are kind of falling behind? Because it doesn't exist anywhere.
Well, we haven't done the research on other areas. We was only focused on Black areas, right? But if you want to take it to Africa, we covered an article last week where they just had a startup fest, a tech startup fest, and they're giving away money for it. We covered another article back in the summertime where you had poor Sudanese people living out in the desert that are, you know, coming up with ways of how to fix their environmental issues through technology. So why are Black people having this problem here in America.
Let me
So,
throw this
so,
out there.
so, then which earlier about 30 minutes ago I made the statement to where I was contradicting something that Dollar Will said that it's not economical because it's not environmental. I think it was Dollar Will who said that, or maybe you might. If it's environmental, then how do you explain people who come from environmentally challenged countries come over here and hit the ground running? So it's not an environmental.
I think I referred to it that it was an issue of urgency for both the college educated black people working in corporate America, as well as the people on the ground who are supposedly in these deprived areas. But when you walk around these areas, these people don't seem to dress pretty. They seem to dress pretty sufficient for themselves. You would think that they were doing well, but they seem to have enough. They seem to have enough gumption to go out there and put their money into racing jackets and fitted hats and stuff. But they don't seem to have the wherewithal to actually design.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they're comfortable and they're content. But the same argument could be made for the folks who are making six figures who are comfortable and content, pulling in 150 to 200 versus their white counterparts who are making the same, but they aren't content because they want to make 150 million. They won't be worth 150 million or have a software company that's worth 200 million. So I think that level of contentment, that comfort zone thing, it's irrespective of the social economic class. Someone could be looking at someone and be like, man, he's the smartest guy in the room. He knows more than his boss. He knows more than his peers, but he's comfortable making $250,000 versus his understudy, who's maybe only making $125, said, screw this shit. Me and my homeboy about to quit. We're about to go in the garage, we're about to burn the midnight oil, we're about to get up our asses. Like Will said, we're going to start a software company we'll be thinking about, and we're going to be worth $125 million.
Right. I just think it's like it's good news. It's good and bad that Black Americans are incredibly impatient. It's good and bad. We're only 150 years out of slavery, and we already produced a damn president. Okay, we got a very high home ownership rate. Comparatively, I mean, it's a lot, a lot. There are things that we have achieved, but we can probably count. I'm 50. I could probably go back to my great grandfather or great great grandfather, and that would put me right in slavery. Okay, so this little small amount of time comparatively, we are expressing our dissatisfaction with where we've become, with how far we've come. And again, I have to say we got to be careful about comparing us with other people, the other groups that come here. Our situation is unique because racism is real, y'all. I know y'all think it's a cop-out, but we are specifically targeted for failure. Specifically us. Everybody else in the world that comes to America is told, you want to open a liquor store or some greasy ass fast food restaurant selling cancerous foods that we don't need to eat, you can't set that daggone place up in the white community. They make you get your start in the Black community. So we have to fight for the block that we live in against immigrants from all over the world. So that's nowhere else but us.
Yeah, but by the same token, though, no one makes you go eat the Arab's fried chicken or put that bottle of St. Ives in your mouth. So if you know better, you do better. So I kind of have to push back against that. Yes, it's true, but by the same token, it's too much of a cop out. Because
but who else
in this time and age, if you know better, we have to do better. And
but who else has all? My only point was no one else is facing that obstacle. What we call our neighborhood is not even our neighborhood. It's not even it's not respected as our neighborhood. The city and city policy sends everybody there. You can't even. But how many times at the corner? I see. I'm speaking. Did you ever grow up in a Black community, Paul? Ever live in one?
Yes, I did. In fact, I happened to
Okay,
grow
you
up.
answered my question. I just want to make a point. When you was there, did you notice ownership change in the liquor store and the corner grocery store? Because we talked about it all the time. How the
Yes,
hell that damn store changed ownership and we didn't know? We
yes,
didn't know
but
it was for sale.
but at the same point, at the same time, all I'm saying is, to me, and maybe it's my West Indian immigrant mother's upbringing and background, at some point, it was drilled into me. You have to put all that aside, pin your ears back, and do what you have to do. Okay?
Yeah, yeah. Pause.
Yes,
Don't
you
give
have.
me that. Don't. I'm sorry, man. That's offensive. I just led up to all that we've accomplished. We already know how to do that. We still here. Okay. And we made America great enough for your parents to want to be here. Okay, so let's just keep that in perspective. We absolutely are winning against odds. Okay, but we are facing unique obstacles. And so, what I mentioned to you was how many times when you were growing up did you notice the corner store get sold without anybody knowing it was for sale? I bring that up for two reasons. One, to point out that we were already thinking on that level of owning the block. When we were young, we would have the conversation with our parents about it, and everybody was down for it. But we would see new people, businesses get sold, and we wouldn't even know. We're structurally eliminated from these opportunities.
You're
I
right about that,
agree with you
Darko.
totally. You're right. I agree with you 1,000%.
So that's all I'm asking you. Were you aware of that when you were younger? That to see that business tone and turnover that excluded us, and were you aware at that moment that hey, there's something structural going on that we don't quite understand yet?
You are 100%
Mhm.
right, and I agree with what you just said. I agree with what you just said. However, by the same token, what you just said, my point is, at some point, that mindset, that gravitas, the way that we used to think, some point in time, it was lost. And my point is, we need to focus on us to get it back. My thing is, instead of saying, instead of some people putting the focus on that, we have these obstacles and we have these hurdles, which we do, which we absolutely do, but I think there needs to be a focus on getting that mindset back, to want to go to where everyone wants to own businesses and push to move black areas forward. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, C Boogie, go ahead.
Oh yeah, man. Just really quick, man, I'm kind of late, but you guys were talking about capitalism earlier, and see, like when it comes to capitalism, I'm really indifferent about it, right? Like my attitude is usually people that have a problem with it a lot of times are more of the consumers and workers, and the people that love it are more of the buyers and sellers, and I mean, excuse me, pardon me, sellers, and the inventors and things like that. But like one of the things that we got to realize, man, like what do they say, 98% of the wealth of this nation is controlled by 1%. So like you can get yourself so far behind the eight ball with wealth in this nation to where as though is if this 1% owns so much, how are you ever going to catch up to them? And I know it sounds like I'm making excuses, but like we got to be in reality here, and start looking at the dwindling middle class and even folks on the bottom tier of things. It's people with full-time jobs.
C Boogie, you
So
borked out.
yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You borked out. Go back 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, so like I was saying, like I don't know where I left off, but I was talking about
You say there's people
one
with
percent
full
on.
time jobs.
Yeah,
Sorry,
man,
what
it's
you,
people with full-time jobs that still need food stamps to even to feed their family. So, like a lot of times, it's not just pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Don't be lazy. It's people that work two jobs and things like that. But it's that's why I say I'm pretty indifferent about it. But capitalism, man. You know, because like Paul Brown said, greed is a real thing. You know, greed is a real thing.
See, Boogie, you're borking out.
Yeah, like I don't know what's wrong, man. I'm gonna check back in a minute, man. If I'm
Can
bugging
you
out that
get
bad,
closer?
really.
If you're at home, get closer to your router or something. Try that.
Let me just say something really quick.
Yes, sir.
I agree with the point that Paul said when he said he doesn't see it happening. I totally agree. I don't see that happening. I don't see this thing happening and coming, and being able to go ahead and work out. Um, because I'm seeing because there's not the culture to support it, and Black America is comfortable. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. I'm not, on the side of dollar rule that things needs to go and come together. I'm pragmatic. I don't see the two sides or the two separate classes or all the classes of the Black America come together because it's not an underlying culture to bring it together. To this whole point about this economic development thing, I mean, other communities, if they had this deal and this deal was dumped in their community and dumped in a certain area in their community, $2 Will's point, my guess is those people will figure out a way, be it a cousin, an uncle buying a rental property, somehow, some way to put themselves in a position to take advantage of this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't put it on the people there to say they need to do it. When a good deal is on the table, they will find a way to come together because they have an underlying cultural, be it their religion, be it their tradition, be it their heritage. They have something that binds them, irrespective of where they are in the social economic class. So they will come together and form like Voltron to make the shit happen. That doesn't exist in Black America. I think within this conversation, the conversation even took a tone to a certain point to where it was like them and us and them. It was kind of like two separate parts of Black America. And I'm pragmatic. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's just how it is. And the reason why it's always going to be like that, and this wasn't the reason why Paul said he didn't think it would work out, but this is my reason for why I know it's not going to work out, is because there's not an underlying culture that ties Black people together and Black Americans together in this country. It's just not. It's not going to happen. And to think that the other cultures would not depend or wait or put the onus on the government to give those people the training or the understanding. They will say, hey, if I got the training and the deal is over there where you are, somehow, some way, we're going to figure this shit out to where we can take advantage of it. We're going to work on this shit together. You know what I'm saying? Because, kind of like that old song by ABC, you got the looks, I got the brains, let's make lots of money. And the same shit. They will figure out a way to go ahead and come together to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, C Boogie.
Yeah, yo, can you hear me now? Or am I still bugging?
Yes, sir. No, you're clear. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Pring, thanks for the song, bro.
That was a classic. You remember that? I got the brains.
Stop, please. Stop, please. No.
But
my bad.
But back to my original thoughts about capitalism. Just let me know if I start boring out, man, because I don't know what's wrong. But just really quick, see, back to what I was saying. I'm pretty indifferent about it, but here's the thing about capitalism. The big government has its hands all over capitalism. So it's if you really look at the interest rates and like how can they raise the taxes and the asset prices and things like that, like even policies and regulations, like even if you look at regulations, man, maybe only about 20% of regulations on things are very important. Like the other 80%, man, is just add to your cost and things like that, man. So the government is all over that kind of stuff too, man, to really make it hard for smaller people to compete with the major industries, man. So, you really, I don't think I'm just going to stick with me being indifferent about it. But it's not really a good thing for smaller people to try to compete, man. Especially if you don't have the kind of alliances to compete with the bigger industries, bro. Like you can really get caught out there on your own, man. So, like a lot of people think, well, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get this, man. But if you really look at capitalism, man, the government has his hands directly into that, man. And if you're not really linked in with that institution the way you should be, man, like you could really get hung out there to dry on this thing, man.
Yeah, and I think I touched on this before, but some of my ideas is that based on my observation of Black people's behavior and their way of thinking, is that I don't think capitalism is 100% for them. And in this aspect of the opportunity zones, I think a co-op where they get a stipend for areas where they can't make rent and things like that. I think that's the only real way that you're going to pull all these these deprived areas or these soon to be deprived areas out of deprivation, because it's not enough jobs for everybody, right? But if you had a workers co-op, if you had a workers corporation or cooperative, then what that would allow people to do is allow many more people to work, while at the same time contributing to a bigger project and still getting a stipend from the from local government for their efforts. But for a lot of Black people, it doesn't seem like they it doesn't seem today. It doesn't seem like they have a very deep interest in that sort of capitalism. Because, for example, if I've heard MOT get attacked on certain hangouts because he makes too much money, or he's a millionaire or something to that effect, and I'm like, why are you so concerned about how much money he makes? Like, where does that mentality come from?
I think he should be applauded. I mean, that's one of the role models.
Right, but he gets attacked for having it. So if he was to hire somebody, those same people may not want to work for him because they may not respect him in the position that he's in the capitalist position that he's in.
Right, and that's something that can only change. I hear what you said when you said earlier that capitalism isn't for us, and well, then I don't know what we're gonna do if that's true. It's gonna have to become for us, because I don't see capitalism going anywhere on planet Earth. I think it's going to spread, if anything.
Really.
Well, somebody riddle me this, and for the sake of diverting the conversation, why is the ridicule selective? Because I don't see other prominent, so let's say celebrity black businessmen, businesswomen, the Oprahs, the rappers, the celebrities who are worth over $1 million. They don't get attacked for having their wealth. So it's not a thing as far as the wealth is a concern. So why is he so selectively attacked? Because it can't have anything to do with the money, because Black people don't attack other Blacks that make money. They actually applaud and celebrate them. So why is he attacked?
Because
jealousy and insecurity. There you go.
Go ahead,
Black people's I'm sorry.
Well, the MOT situation, just really quick, the MOT situation was something different. It had nothing to do with capitalism. It was more of some personal ideologies, some differences that those guys had. It didn't have anything to do with this conversation per se, but just to kind of bring it into context, like MOT is my guy, but MOT is not a capitalist. Like MOT makes his money off government contracts. It's a little bit, just a little difference there. So he's not.
Why. Explain that. Why you make that different? Why is that important? Why do you that's
because he isn't selling anything. Like MOT
Both
doesn't sell
Lockheed
anything.
Martin and Grumman, they are government contractors too. See, the big myth is that we confused in America. We bought this individualism bullshit. Okay, the biggest way to make money is to hook up with the government and big.
But I didn't say it. But I didn't say it in like a negative
they're all
way.
Capitalists. They're all capitalists.
Okay, well, you just cleared it up for me. But I'm just saying, like he's not, like that's how he makes his money. So
he's not a hyper capitalist, is what you're saying. He's not a hyper capitalist.
Yeah, like he doesn't set the market for anything. He doesn't, like that's what I think of capitalists. So like maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't. You know, that's just the way he makes his money. You know, that's you know, he doesn't set the market for anything out here. You know, the MOT is my guy, but I was
Give
just
me
trying
give
to.
me an example of what you mean. Give me an example of a company that sets the market. That's why I understand what you're talking about. What you
You know, hell, like you could look at grocery stores. You know, like grocery stores can set the they can set their prices on, you know, like how much they want to sell certain you know, certain food for. You know, as
yeah.
long as they, you know, like if they want to compete with the rest of them.
Yeah, and either the market will validate that price or not. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So like that's what I meant. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying I was just bringing some clarity into it. Like MOT gets his money off of, you know, that's just what he does. Now,
He bids on those contracts. He could bid too high and they can say no, or he can bid too low and they can give him the contract and then he can't run his business because he bid too low. It's
mhm.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I guess I never looked at it that way, the way that you're describing. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just never thought of it that way. But go for it.
Yeah, yeah, but I just wanted to clear that up. Like MOT wasn't attacked from being a capitalist though. Like that was that was some bull crap of just some ideologies that they had. And you know, like MOT is pretty hard and stands firm on certain principles that he had. So they was more attacking him because of his principles, not the fact that he you know, is a successful black man. I don't really think so. Yeah,
Well,
you know.
I wasn't saying that they were attacking him for his capitalist principles. But what I was saying was that usually when a black man gets in that position, that a lot of people have a hard time respecting his authority in that position. And when you're a capitalist or you're involved in capitalism, there has to be some form of a boss. And I think that black people have a hard time accepting those principles of capitalism through and through. That's what I was saying. I've talked to MOT offline and online about this. You know how black people act in terms of doing business. There's a lot of there's a lot of not respecting of the tenets of capitalism as a whole.
Yeah,
It's a get rich or die trying type of thing. There's always if the steps are step 1 through 10, people are trying to get to 9 before they even get to 5.
So
yeah,
that Mike,
I think that's
let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think that will also play a factor to the whole, starting, being innovative, being industrious, to starting like the next Facebook for a black person to start the next Facebook? Would that little schism also be a factor when you're trying to build a team and build a law
Absolutely,
or something like that
absolutely it does.
for a black man to do that?
No, I think absolutely it does. I've been in that position. I think I've talked about it before when I was doing undergrad. I ran a Cisco networking group on the weekends, and we had one brother come in, man, and just very disruptive, not really focused, really aloof, just not really, respecting the group and the leadership within the group, and we had to actually ask his brother to leave. But my point in saying this is that there's a lot of these guys get into IT because they want to make a lot of money. They don't actually want to drive the technology. They want to use the technology and just make a lot of money. They don't think on that level, which is what I was saying before earlier, that a lot of those black people who get into these IT industries, they're not thinking about starting a business to that extent. But there are people on the ground that, if you actually have a conversation with them, um, they do have some ideas. It might just be a small idea in the 1 to 10 seconds that you're talking to them, but if you really have that conversation, then it becomes more complex, and the complexities of that conversation becomes more innovative, and now you have something on the ground. But that's where we need to be, and we're not actually doing that.
yeah. I think a cultural thing we gotta fix. We have it's like a pecking order on the street.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to this alpha thing, okay? This alpha pecking order on the street. There's an alpha pecking order in the classroom. There's an alpha pecking order in the business world. And the a guy that say has status on the street, not in the classroom and not in the business world. Here comes the MOT. He's got status in the business world. The guy on the street not going to respect him. It's just it's petty competition, and I personally believe it's born of insecurity. We won't acknowledge someone. A black men have a difficult time acknowledging another black man as being further ahead than him, especially if, let's say, I got street cred, more street cred than you. I'm not going. I got a problem acknowledging that when we go to this business sector, you the alpha, you the big dog.
Right.
And so
Right.
we got to see, and we see that crap. I'm gonna go here again. We see that crap when we're kids, and we don't straighten it up. We don't check our young boys to make them straighten that up and say, you got to respect him for his gift. Okay. And to the extent that they can work together and complement each other, until we get to that point where we can come together and combine our skills, we're gonna always be lost. So, you know, if we don't come together, we may not make it. And if we don't come together, as offended as people are when they hear about the 2/3 policy, it's real. It's real. It's not. This isn't a new idea. And in the past, you know, our inability to work together is one of those things that was pointed out that would be to go to our detriment.
Because again, there's not an underlying culture that binds.
Correct. But we can create it. We have to want to create it. So back, Paul. That's why it's got to be important when you live where you want. You know, I know I'm not holding nothing against you for moving wherever you move. I'm just saying when we come together and we're talking as a group, wherever we live, we have to all. We don't have, but the only constructive way I can see it is that we have to think in terms of us being a we, and us together solving these problems, and us together taking advantage of those economic opportunities that you know, like the one we started this conversation with. So that's when we call up our cousin who's still in the hood. We got the skill set to take advantage of that business opportunity. We say, hey, cuz, let me use your address. Okay. You go in, because that's what white folks do. Come on. White folks got $5 Indians, man. Okay. They will find a way to game the system to get in there to get that opportunity. So we go in, we use cuz's address, we get the business opportunity. If there's a way or level where cuz can come in and work, if he's got the skill set and the discipline and work ethic, you bring him in at a low level where he can function, and you give him a path of growing if he applies himself. If he doesn't apply himself, he will be tier 1, Mike. Some guys are just going to be tier 1. Some people just don't have the motivation, the perspiration, the inspiration to go to tier, 4 or whatever, to higher levels.
Will,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Let me just say this real quick, and then we'll let you wrap up with the last word. There's a project called Ujima. For those of you listening, I know some of you guys on the panel know I've worked with that. Basically, it's a workers co-op, and they're looking at ways of how to improve business in predominantly black areas, and it's not easy. It's not easy because they're trying to get away from the capitalist structure themselves, because they've understand as well that the typical tenets of capitalism really doesn't work with black people. So that's why I mentioned it earlier. We've done enough analysis, crushed the numbers, and looked at people's attitudes. It just doesn't work. So you can't have one person who's making 6 figures, and then the other people are just making minimum wage. That doesn't work. So you're gonna have to redistribute some of that wealth from the top, and where it's calcified, and bring it back to the bottom, and spread it all out. And that means that other people are gonna have to contribute as well. So that means if one guy has a truck, or if there's a need for a truck, then most people are gonna have to put their money in behind it and get and actually own that truck together. That's that sort of work. Work is
That sound
cooperative.
like that sound like communism, man.
Well, if you look at Africa, a lot of those principles are still there.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be tough, man. I tell you what, I'm not living there.
Oh, really?
I'm going to be in a capitalistic country, man. It's capitalism or some way for me to benefit off of for me to benefit disproportionately off of my disproportionate effort and skill. Okay, so and I can be charitable after that. I'm always going to be helpful, but I would never want because you cannot.
So now Dollar Will's not pro-black. He's pro.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm lost, man.
No. That's
You
it.
kind of lost me on that.
Hold
You attacked me.
on. Come on, Preem. Let me say this. Preem, let me say this. That is, come on, Preem, chill. That is exactly the point what you said, Mike. That we think in our community, we think that being capitalist is anti-black. That's exactly what we gotta solve.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it. Because the guy that ain't gonna do his part is always gonna want to have his hand in your pocket. Okay, and we need protection from that. We know our people are prone to not do their part. But that's what I like about capitalism.
But I look at it.
But I am not for leaving nobody sleeping in the gutter. Okay, we can raise the floor. That's what I'm saying.
No. I'm not saying that you would be sleeping in the gutter, but it would be everybody moving in one direction on an equal level.
But everybody's not equal.
Yeah, no.
But you can't leave certain people behind, right? If you're trying to lift if rising tide lifts all boats, then you're gonna have to lift that boat too, right?
Yes, but when you say lifting the boat is one thing, to lift the boat equally is another thing.
Yeah, but here's the way.
No,
here's the way I see
and I'm
it
a liberal Democrat. I want to say this for the record. I'm a liberal Democrat, and I'm telling you, I'm a capitalist. So this is just some modern stuff. Y'all think that doesn't exist. I don't mean y'all. I mean the listeners, the younger millennial, think that you can't be a liberal and be a capitalist.
Yeah, but here's, like in these kind of conversations, here's where I always kind of try to shift the focus because, like one of the things we kind of skip over and once you start talking about certain community aspect is really competency, man. So let's say Dollar Will can do certain things on his level, but it doesn't negate the fact that such and such, like give me a name, Tyrone can do X, Y, and Z on his level. Now, you know what I mean. Dollar Will, he's the brains behind the operations, but sometimes you need all hands on deck, and like he might not can do what Dollar Will can do because he's not that competent, but he has a job in the operations as well. And so but a lot of times we throw those people to the side because they we just deem those guys just unimportant. Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with that because when you're looking at like in life, man, you got people that can look at a piece of scrap metal and build a satellite dish. Then you got some people with the competency level, they can install the satellite dish. And you just got some people that can only operate it. But that's just how this things work, man. So you can't just throw people off to the side, because they can have a job in the operation. They could just be pushing a broom.
I've got a big problem with it. I've got a big problem with it.
Yeah, I see.
And because
can you come closer to the mic? Come closer to the mic.
Oh yeah, I got a speaker box. Okay. How's this? Any better?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I've got a big problem with this, but I'm gonna definitely go ahead and be brief. And this is the culture this is why it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And this is the culture that Black America needs to go ahead and adapt if they even are going to stand a chance, and they will never adapt it. So there's zero chance, zero possibility. And that's of there being any light at the end of the tunnel for it. I get a prime example. I was just listening. The man just said, which is the essence of why I appreciate capitalism, is that I just want to get rewarded for the sweat of my own brow. Nowhere in that was there any statement that says, for me to do this, I'm willing to throw X, Y, and Z under the bus, or I'm doing this at the expense of someone else. But automatically, two people just shot up and said, hey, listen, first off, this means you're going to throw someone else is going to fall to the wayside. That wasn't even in his mindset. The only thing that he was thinking was, I know I just want to work my ass off and get what's coming to me for that. But then why is it just saying that statement alone automatically means, only in Black America, it means that obviously someone else is going to get thrown underneath the bus. Other people don't think like that. The people that understand the game, that take advantage, they understand that that's not the case. That does not equal that. But we automatically think that that equals that. It does not automatically equal that. Some people just want to be all that they can be. That's it.
Hey, Preem.
Yo.
Just to make the point what you said, I knew you guys already heard it, but when I was like 18, 19, I co-founded a business. It was a nonprofit, but it was still a business. Had 80 people in it. In age, the median age was probably 16 to 25, but it extended up to senior citizens. Okay, I had this problem that we're talking about right now. People are not accepting my authority. I had people older than me, younger than me, and I had to fire a lot of people. And I fired them. Life went on, but I wasn't throwing anybody under the bus.
Yeah, but I don't.
You gotta pull your weight. You gotta pull your weight. And so
that's
people didn't want to pull their weight. I had to cut them loose.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything about throwing nobody under the bus. I was trying to bring up a different perspective to these conversations about just competition.
I didn't think. No, I wouldn't respond.
Yeah. But I don't even think I was even treading nowhere closer. Like I understand for the people that just can't. But I just think, like, even if you just look at societies in general, it's just. I don't think people. I think the site groups just be a little off sometimes, as if everybody's job is to be, just out front. And it's just like, yo, man, if y'all really talking about flipping dollars in y'all community, I'm not talking about you, Preem, but I'm just speaking of the conversation that's always had. If y'all talking about flipping dollars in the community and this, that, and the third, then you want to need all hands on deck for that kind of operation. And everybody is not going to be able to be in a driver's seat or maybe even see the best side of that, but you are going to need all hands on deck. And that's just the reality of that situation, man. If y'all want to talk about a Jewish mercantile class, look at how these people rose up from nothing. They had all hands on deck, but everybody wasn't the general. So, it would be no different with Black America than to follow that same blueprint that people set out, man. I don't think it's throwing nobody under the bus. It's just respecting where people are at. So Dollar Will could be the general, but like you might have somebody, like you still going to need some privates in your operation as well. It's just that's just the way I see it.
That's right.
I don't think it's throwing nobody under the bus.
But those privates are going to have to carry their own water, and if they can't, then they got to go, irrespective of what color they are, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to carry their own water, but it's going to be at their own level, because I can't do what Preem can do. Like your competency level and your understanding of certain things might be higher, but you still might need me for something in the operation. It just might be a minor job here and there, but you still need hands on deck. If the conversation is about, flipping dollars in your own community. And this, if I'm talking about that specific conversation, if you're
let's
talking
let's say
about
let's say
rising
let's
up,
say a let's say a job with different skill set. There's no minor job.
yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're
welfare.
right. Yeah,
The
you're right.
job is necessary. That person is necessary to the whole.
Yeah,
It's a different skill set, and this person is reliable, and they can do that job. So
yeah, yeah. So that's pretty much my perspective. Is if y'all are talking about from a community aspect of things and kind of rising above certain things, because once you get to a certain level, and I had this experience with I think I said this on a brain trust before when I was with this organization, and it was some big issues with these government contracts. It was no one man that could solve that problem. It was a lot of black men had to get together. A lot of black men worked pro bono together to get these $1 million contracts that came down. And I seen this with my own eyes, man. They was getting shafted out contracts. So once you get to a certain level, man, you can't just have this renegade gunslinger I'm by myself attitude. That you know what I'm saying? Because you're competing with big boys now. This ain't no mom and pop little thing where they go tinkle on people's lawnmowers, man. Like, this is big boy money, and you're gonna need lawyers on deck. You need financial guys. You just need guys that are just down to work long hours with you, man. And this is something that I learned, because I used to be like, well, I can do it by my. No, you can't. I'm talking about guys with PhDs behind their name. They all had to get in the room and band together because it was bigger than the money. At the end of the day, it was about the respect too. Because the next time those contracts come down, they gonna want their piece of the pie. So that's pretty much the way things are ranked at a certain level, man. Ain't no Billy the Kid kind of attitude. That Nah, man, you got to have allies in this thing.
Hmm.
So I really believe in that, man. And everybody can carry their own weight, but everybody bucket of water is not going to be the same size. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality.
Can I ask a question?
Paul Bryan, go ahead, and then we'll close it.
All right, can I ask a question? Did the concept and this idea of black people of a higher socioeconomic strata, that they have a duty and a responsibility to reach down and help out and help back and give back to the community, and somehow they don't do that, that they're wrong and that nothing will happen?
Nope.
Where does that?
I don't believe that.
Neither do I, by the way. But, however, a man can entertain an idea without accepting it. So I would like to hear thoughts behind that mindset.
my thought is, if you either a part of the group or you're not. If you're not in the group helping to row the boat, then you're not in the group. You can't be in the group and then not feel some sense of responsibility or even obligation to the group. That's it. Right there. If you're not in it, get the hell out.
And as far as me, my whole 2 cents is I don't feel or have any obligation to the group. My the priority, my obligation is to my values. So just the same way I look at it from a mating perspective with females, the values have to be aligned, and the group thing is second, third, or fourth. So for me, when it comes to business or whatever, it's about finding competency, people with the right attitude, link it up with folks who want to win, who have the right work ethic, and all that is value. So for me, values is first, and all that community stuff. That shit is like down the list for me. For
See,
me.
because the reason why I asked that is based on that mindset as a person of higher socioeconomic strata. If I'm not if I'm not doing these this pres- prescribed ideas, I'm in the wrong now. I totally disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. I'm not a doctor. It's not my job to save people. I can help, and I am more than willing to help and do my part where necessary. But it cannot start from me. It's not my job to reach out and help people who don't want to help themselves.
You just said you don't mind doing your part to help. Then you said you don't have to save. And nobody said you had to save people. All I was ever talking about helping and doing your part. This other thing that you introduced is something that's in your mind and only your mind.
I think that conversation went a little south, so I'll leave that there.
I don't.
Someplace else, which I will not even.
But you still my brother.
Right.
You pulling away, but you my brother. Let me say, y'all listening, Donald. Well, we didn't get a chance to do charts tonight. I'm gonna try to put some on my channel. If you haven't hit the alert bell on my channel, do it, because this historic week that just passed, I'm absolutely gonna put something up, because it's a lot of stuff you need to see what's going on in the market beyond the vacuous headlines that you get on TV.
Which I actually wanted to talk to you about, Dollar Will. So maybe we'll get a chance to talk to that.
Hey, well, check this out. Maybe I can fire up and do my very first live tomorrow, and you can join me, and we can, chop it up live.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Well,
All right.
everybody hit that alert.
All right. Before we close out, I just want to say happy birthday to Nagone 11. So
happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mr.
Preem can sing you a song.
Happy birthday, brother.
No more songs from Preem, please.
Yeah, Preem is the modern day PM Dawn.
Whatever it is I do, I try to think about you.
Oh my God. No. Yeah. All right, you all have a good night. We're gonna have Black IT talk tomorrow. Blockchain and cloud. So peace out.